howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 252.
Yes, it is.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey there, Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, old Tom Baker.
Oh, Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom.
How old was he? 86, wasn't it?
86, yeah.
And still just as mischievous and just charismatic and amazing as ever.
Yeah, it doesn't show any signs of stopping, really.
Good.
It's quite remarkable.
I know.
It's great. It's really good.
Yeah, it's good. He's still doing conventions and stuff, isn't he? Well, over here, I know he doesn't go abroad, but yeah, he's still doing cons and lots of Big Finish. He loves his Big Finish now.
He does.
He mentions it in pretty much every interview, doesn't he? I don't know if you've noticed. I bet Nick Briggs loves it.
Nick Briggs must be. Yeah, because if Tom says it's cool, then it's cool, pretty much. Yeah. Yes. Talking of Big Finish, they had a really good sale timed quite nicely for Tom's birthday. They're doing this thing at the moment, the flash sale, where they're going through each of the Doctors. And it very nicely, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but it very nicely falls on the Fourth Doctor's era for a bunch of sales for Tom's birthday. So that was kind of cool. Yes.
I do. His audios are good. I've just bought I think it might have been released today, actually, as we record. The latest one, which is Tom Baker, Matthew Waterhouse, Lila Ward. So it's that TARDIS team, Adric and Romana.
Yes.
And I think, am I right in saying it's the first time those? I don't know, but it's a new set with them. And I thought, oh, that's good. That'll be good. I don't know if they recorded together. Probably not. But I've pre-ordered that. I believe it's released today, so I'm quite looking forward to. Might get a chance to listen to a bit later.
Nice. Yeah. Before we get cracking with the show, we've got some news coming up. Not really anything that exciting. We're talking about viewing figures for the last couple of eps, and we have some interesting merch to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're on to our review of Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror.
I think this will be an interesting one this week, because
why is that?
I was watching this again last night and I thought some episodes I kind of get an inkling of what you might think. I think, I bet Gary loved that bit, or Gary will have hated that. And this one, genuinely cannot gauge. This could go either way. I could not, when I got to the end of it, I was thinking, because it's not, I don't know, it's not like Orphan 55, which was so Marmite. This one, is just sort of there. And I thought, what will Gary have made of this? So I'm genuinely intrigued when we get to the review to see if you liked it or not.
Yeah.
Because it just can't tell. Just can't tell with this one.
It's on a knife edge, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Could drop either way.
Yeah, interesting. And you don't know if I liked it or not.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting times.
Yeah. Just trying to build up the suspense.
Before we get cracking with today's show, remember to subscribe to our show. Just do a search for us on any podcast app that you listen to podcasts on, or head over to the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can find buttons there that will link off to those various networks. That way you don't miss a show when they land every Friday. And if you can spare a minute to give us a review on whatever podcast app or network, that would be amazing because it helps us out loads with discoverability and all that stuff. And we're also on the social networks, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box Podcast. Now, do not confuse us with a similar sounding podcast. I've had that a couple of times recently.
Have you?
Yes, there is a podcast out there called the Blue Box Podcast.
There is indeed. I've listened to it.
Yes, I used to listen to it. It used to be pretty good.
Mm.
I'm sure it still is, but I just haven't listened to it for a while.
Oh, right.
But do not confuse them with ourselves. You need to add the big in there, the Big Blue Box Podcast.
You can see our big cheesy mugs, mug shots on the picture, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on? Tweeted you the other day. Didn't reply. Well, hello. Who are you? That don't matter. You're not replying. You found us then because you tweeted the wrong people the other day, obviously.
They're probably like, I don't remember saying that was awful. I don't
Yes.
Don't remember talking about Funko Pops. Yeah.
I could talk to you about Funko Pops. That's fine.
Mm.
Funko Pops. Fortunately, we've not had any Doctor Who ones announced recently, which is good. Keeping them at bay.
You used to like them. I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
You've changed.
I've changed, mate. Yeah. Right. What have you been up to, bud? You done anything Doctor Who wise?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I've been listening to a bit of Big Finish, actually. It's been a while. Because I've been so busy, I just really haven't had a chance to listen to Big Finish. And so, yeah, had a bit of time at last. The problem is I can't really talk about it because it's in our news section. So I'll talk about it later on when we get to it. But yeah, there's a certain release that's just come out. And normally, once they drop, I think, I'll download that this week and I'll list it. But there's been a bit of a buzz around this one. But I'll talk about it when we get to it on the merch section. So yeah, but listen to a bit of that. I finished off Dalek Invasion Earth as well. I watched half of it last week and I finished that up.
Nice.
So,
nice.
But we haven't reviewed it. So I can't talk about that either. But I have been doing some Doctor Who stuff. It's been nice actually to dip into a bit of classic and also to get back into Big Finish. The only other thing I've done is I took a trip up to London on Monday and met up with our good friend Adam. And we just kept it very simple. We just went to FP. Absolutely didn't buy anything Doctor Who, I'm afraid. There wasn't anything in there.
There's nothing in there.
It's so barren in there. It's unbelievable. Although that might be about to change, looking at something else we've got in our news section. But I didn't buy anything for there. And then we went to the Disney store. Adam was very excited because I was totally unaware that they've got a little Star Wars section upstairs. And it's really cool, actually. So, sorry, not Doctor Who related, but very cool nonetheless. They've got a wicked Star Wars section in the Disney store. But yeah, in the end, I just come out with a giant Mickey plush, and that was it. No, I didn't. I didn't get anything. It was all too expensive. But yeah, it's some very nice stuff there. So yeah, that's been me. Yeah, it's been a good couple of days, really. I've managed to do a few little bits, keep myself entertained. Yeah, I'm loving dipping into Doctor Who, and I'm very excited for the season 26 should finally be released on Monday. So I'm very excited for that next week. That's probably all I'll be talking about. Have you ordered yours from good old Zoom?
I did, yes. And my payment went out on Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people are saying it's they've got their dispatch to warehouse confirmation, which means it's on its way.
Okay.
So yeah, so yours should be on its way very soon. What, are you looking to see if you've got your confirmation?
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, do they normally email you then and say?
I don't know how they know. It's just in one of the group chats someone on Facebook.
Let me have a look.
People saying, "Oh yeah, it's gone to the warehouse. It must be on its way," and I don't know.
Yeah, mine says sent to warehouse.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Oh, it's probably when you sign into your account. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's good, mate. It's at the warehouse, just waiting to be dispatched.
Just sitting there, mocking us from afar,
laughing at you from afar. Because they do sometimes arrive a couple of days early from Zoom, don't they? They sometimes arrive on the Friday and Saturday. So you might even have it at the weekend. Imagine that.
Oh, that'd be lovely, because I've got some plans on Saturday, but Sunday's going to be a nice lazy one. So if it does turn up on Friday or Saturday, that's going to be lovely.
That does sound good. Sound good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I nearly forgot. I might actually. You've just reminded me talking about Saturday. There's a Phantom are doing their Chiswick event, the first one this year, and Sophie Aldred's there. So I might pop along to that on Saturday. So if anybody listening wants to meet Sophie Aldred, tickets are only £10. There's some other guests there as well from Who. And I believe they're going to have the season 26 sets there.
They will
on a first come first served basis. So I might nip along to that as I've got Saturday off. I might do that.
Yeah, no, they're really cool though. I haven't been to a Phantom event for a while now. Actually, I think I didn't go to any of them last year. The last one I went to was a year before that. But I remember they're very, very cool little events. Quite intimate, not as busy, quite cheap. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Sophie's autographs, £10. I mean, you can't, photo with her is £10 for professional photo shoot is £10. So it's, it might be worth doing that actually. I haven't been able to go because of work. I've missed the last couple. I really wanted to go to one last year with Carol Ann Ford and William Russell. And I saw the photo shoots from that, and I was so jealous. So it's like they got like a really nice backdrop now, and all the photos people got with those two were just brilliant. I was very sad to miss that, but so yeah, it'd be good. Might go along to them. They are nice chilled events. Yeah, might do that.
They are indeed.
Putting it in my diary as we speak.
Yeah, and those guys came to the rescue for me last year as well. With the
they did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, with the season. What was it? Season no,
it was the Katie one, wasn't it?
Yeah. What was the Pertwee season?
Season can't remember the John Pertwee one. Yeah, people will know.
Yeah, that one. When I had a big screw up, I managed to bag one. That was the cheapest I could find. Was on the Phantom website. For anybody interested, by the way, you need to spell it FAN Phantom.
Yes.
Just if you want to have a look at these events or whatever, just do a search for Phantom events in London. But yeah, I got a signed copy for £70. It sounds a lot, but that was a lot cheaper than paying just a generic non-signed version. That was, I think it was like £250. Was the cheapest I could find.
Yeah, it was season 10, wasn't it?
Season 10, that's the one. Yeah,
I'm looking at it. It's currently 132 on Amazon.
Oh, Amazon have got some, have they?
And that's it's I guess it's a third-party seller, but yeah,
right.
No, it's not actually Amazon selling it, but it's on Amazon. 132.99 if you want it now, plus £4.21 postage.
Nice.
Yeah, so there you go. It's probably second-hand as well, I should think. Yes. Anyway, yeah, so yeah.
Oh, really quickly, actually, on these collections and stuff, I saw on the where was it? I saw that, the first season that they launched, the Tom Baker one, which was
Tom Baker, yeah, season 12.
Season 12. I saw that Amazon have put the US version of that on there for something like £24.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not like in the same packaging as everything that from the original release. It's just in a standard Blu-ray case with, I think it's 3 or 4 discs. So it looks like a standard Blu-ray. It hasn't got all the fancy packaging and everything, but it's region free. So it will work on UK Blu-ray players. So it's an import, but it will work. So if if you missed out on that one, that could be, because there's still no word on when they're going to re-release the proper
No, that's right.
collection.
Yeah.
So that might be an option. Just to head over to Amazon and do a search for it. Season 12. It's the US import, but it's $24.99. So if you want them on Blu-ray, if you're after that set, it's a steal, really.
That's a good price, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Some great extras on that, actually, that first release.
It's good.
Excuse me, really worth picking up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but otherwise, that's been you. Me, buddy, not much for me in terms of who. The only thing I have done is, because I'm subscribed to BritBox at the moment, it's been really cool to dip into some classic stories. And the thing I like about BritBox, and there should be a review of Doctor Who on BritBox that drops on our website in the next day or two. The thing that I like about it is the curated collections that you have as you go through. So when you land on the Doctor, one thing that's really cool is that they may as well call that just, Who Box or Brit Who or something, because when you open up the app, you've got all of the shows presented to you, when you first open it up. But one of the links on the top, there's only a few links at the top. You've got browse, you've got actors, and then the other link is Doctor Who. And then it's got a whole area of its site all to itself. So a lot of the other shows, or all of the other shows, you don't have that. You just go into it and it's got the standard layout. But with Doctor Who, you've got the big logo at the top, and then you've got this lovely section of the Doctors, like the illustrated artwork that was released last year.
I've seen, I saw somebody screenshotted it, and it looks like, I know what you mean. It's like having the whole collection just on your TV with individual Doctors. Yeah, it does look, I like it.
It's great. So you can go into each era or each Doctor that way. But if you scroll down, you've got all of these collections. So if you're having a hard time deciding what to watch, which I do all the time, you can just go to this collection, and it's got, like, for example, Tom Baker's favourite Fourth Doctor stories, and it's Tom's favourite, what he his favourite stories. The same with some of the other Doctors. Or you've got a villain section all about Centaurans or Cybermen, whatever. So it kind of guides you into a collection of stories if you're undecided.
That's good.
So other than that, buddy, just dipping into a bit of classic Who on there while I've still got it subscribed. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to subscribe to it for long term, but for now it's very cool to do that. Otherwise, not much else, dude, for me.
I would love that. I mean, I haven't got BritBox, but just to have it all at a finger's, at the touch of your hand, it's such a cool idea. I'm quite tempted with it, but I mean, like I said, I've got them all on DVD. I don't know. It's just something about having it all there on the TV and stuff. It's a really cool thing.
Yes. I go into a bit more detail this article that review I've put together, but essentially, I think one thing that would make me carry on subscribing long term is if they added all of modern Doctor Who on there as well, because
I think they will.
Well, hopefully they will, but they've packaged it and labelled it up as the home of classic Doctor Who.
I see.
For now, at least. And I think the problem with that is all of modern Doctor Who is available for free on BBC iPlayer.
True.
So until they stop that, you can't really charge people to watch Doctor Who when your companion app, I suppose, or your sister app from the BBC as well, is offering it for free. So I assume there's some kind of, as with all these things, there's like licensing hoo-ha and contracts and all that stuff. But maybe one day, but I think hopefully in the meantime, though, they will add Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood, because they're not available on iPlayer. They're not available in the UK, at least, on any kind of streaming service. They're not on Netflix. Nothing at all. They're not being broadcast on any channels either. So they seem to be kind of in limbo at the moment. So they would be perfect candidates to add on there. But whether they will or not, I'm not sure. But
I'd love it if they did, because obviously after series 12 has ended, we'll then go back to our normal Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane, alternation. And it was really nice when, the listeners could watch along with us. And so it'd be great if they put them on there for anyone that hasn't got them. If we're doing a Sarah Jane, for example, people could just say, "Oh, I haven't got it, but it's on the, it's on BritBox, so I can watch it." Yeah, I really hope they do add them. Be cool.
Would be good.
I don't know about you, but I'm missing Sarah Jane. I mean, I know I could go back and watch the episodes we've already reviewed, but because we're watching them all in order from the start, I kind of just don't want to do that. I want to just carry on until we get to the very end of, the whole lot. is finished and then go back and watch the ones I enjoyed, you know. So, but yeah, I'm missing Sarah Jane. Don't know about you. Thought about it the other day. I was thinking, oh, shall I put one on? But I was like, well, no, because we'll go back to reviewing it, you know, after Series 12. So
I know what you mean, bud. Yeah, because a highlight for us last year was kicking off those SGA reviews. I mean, it was so. I mean, I think most of them we reviewed fairly high.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a great, and we say this all the time, especially when we are doing those weeks where we are reviewing SGA. But if you've not watched any Sarah Jane adventures, it really is a great series to get stuck into. It feels very much like it's almost like it feels like the entire production crew and everybody that worked on Doctor Who, when they finished that, they just woke up the next morning with everything in place and filmed Sarah Jane. It feels like it's completely connected in the same universe. It's got the same look, the same feel, same vibe, everything. It's great. It's a really good, really, really good bunch of stories as well. Good old-fashioned kids adventure TV. Really good stuff.
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've had any episodes yet that we didn't enjoy. Like, we've enjoyed some more than others. There have been some absolutely belters. But every episode's been good, isn't it? And we're on, what, Series 3 now? Or Series 4? What are we on? Series 3, isn't it?
Yeah, we're on Series 3 now.
Yeah. And not a single bad episode.
No.
Yeah, which is quite something, isn't it? No, there's no dud yet.
No duds yet.
Yeah.
We'll
get back to those. Yeah, it'd be nice when we do, but it's good to have it there.
Indeedy, yes. Yeah. And for those of you that have just joined the podcast, if you haven't listened to us before, at the moment we're kind of reviewing, as you would expect, Series 12 as those release every week. We release those because that's brand new Doctor Who. But when Series 12 is finished, we will go back to our regular rotation of reviews. So 1 week we do a modern Doctor Who story, then we do a Sarah Jane, then we do a classic Doctor Who story, and then we review Torchwood. So we review those 4 things on a rotation.
Yeah, just to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, which has been awesome, actually.
It has been awesome, yeah. I was going to say, just that makes me think of 2 things, actually. Firstly, so obviously when Series 12 does finish, which will be beginning of March, I suppose, roughly. So when is Series 13? Are we going to have another year?
Probably. Yep.
Yeah, probably. So that's something that's been playing on my mind. Like, what, are we going to get another Doctor Who will return in 2021 or something? And the other thing that's on my mind is, did you see the new, well, we're assuming it's like a mid-series trailer that dropped yesterday or the day before?
Yes, I did.
With Jodie on like this, I thought it was a lighthouse, but I'm not sure if it is actually, but it starts with her on this sort of balcony of, is it a lighthouse or something? I don't know. Anyway, what did you think to that trailer?
Yeah, I was pleased they dropped that, you know, because in the initial trailer that they put out before Series 12 started, they kind of sort of sold it as this big epic adventure, but they hinted that there were going to be some complications around the Doctor herself and her history and the relationship with her and the companions.
Yeah.
And we've seen a little inkling of that so far. We've seen a little bit of tension between them and the Doctor, but just very fleeting. They've not sort of dived into that too much in depth. But I feel like the latter half of Series 12 is really going to ramp up the whole Gallifrey thing. We're going to see the Master again. And it's going to be a lot more personal about the Doctor and her history. So I do feel like we're going to get some really cool stuff in the last half, or certainly the last third of Series 12. Did you like that trailer? I thought it was good to drop that.
I did like the trailer, yes, and I think you said it in one of your tweets, something like, it looks like the second half of this series is going to turn dark. And I thought, judging by that trailer, I think you could be right. It looks like it's, like you said, it's going to ramp it up a bit. Hopefully we're going to pick up on some of those strands that we've had so far this series about Gallifrey and the Master, and obviously the Cybermen that are in it. And although we only keep getting these quick shots of them, they do look quite menacing, which is something I think has been lacking from the new series Cybermen. So, so I thought it was a good trailer. I really did. Just, again, enough little nuggets there from the Chibbers to get us involved without giving too much away. Like, you couldn't really sort of form any storylines from those clips. You know, like some of the sort of Capaldi era and Matt Smith ones, you could almost tell the whole story from just the Next Time trailers, really. Whereas these, it's just enough little crumbs to lure us in. I thought it was a good trailer. Yeah. I'm particularly excited for the Sidemen one, actually. I really hope they look kind of look half human. Like I keep seeing screenshots where the arms look sort of humanified. Is that a word? They look like human arms. So they look proper horror. So I'm really hoping that's the case.
I hope so, bud.
Yeah, because, and the TARDIS is all dimly lit in one shot. Looks really cool. It's just got a good vibe about it.
It has, yeah. And I do feel like we need to get back into. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I do feel like we need a sprinkling of the Moff a little bit over it, because I think, he took it to an extreme, with these very sort of long story arcs, and he integrated that arc a lot more into each episode of each series, and you kind of felt like that the weight of that kind of buckled some of the episodes a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel like we need that back again a little bit, because I think the Chibbers is doing that, but it's very tiny little nuggets here and there, isn't it? It's not like it's definitely not like a Moff era episode, but I do feel like we need that. So I think hopefully in the last part of the series, those things that we've been introduced to and those little reveals, like the Master being back and the timeless child and the Doctor, everything is a lie, and Gallifrey burning, all of those things have been set up very nicely. We just need to have those drip fed to us in a clever way. So it's not in your face like, oh, okay, you've spoilt that too early, or that would have been great as a finale thing. But just a little bit more than we're getting at the moment. Because at the moment it feels like, those of you that used to watch the X-Files back in the day will know what I'm talking about, where the X-Files stories used to come in two flavors. You had the first one, which was I think they were called the Mythos or the Myth episodes, which were essentially related to the arc of the series. And then you had the second type, which was labeled as the Monster of the Week, where that was completely isolated. It didn't have anything to do with the arc of the series. It was just a one-time isolated little story. So it feels like we're in that territory at the moment, where we have episodes where almost nothing's mentioned at all, like the one we're going to review today, Nikola Tesla. Hardly anything mentioned at all.
Standalone.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It was just an isolated little story. But I do feel like we need a little bit of Moff sprinkled over the series.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's good, because I keep thinking as well, this is we're only getting 10 eps this series, so it's good that we've got those little bits there, those little strands. But yeah, I don't want it all to be rushed. I think that's what I'm worried about. I don't want it to be like just get to the final two-parter and then it's all thrown in there, and I hope we get another little something this week. In other words, just another little breadcrumb part of that arc. Even if it's just a mention or a flashback or something, just to keep it going. I don't want it all to just suddenly come up again in the final and that's it.
But you make a good point though. We've only got 10 episodes, and this Sunday's episode, Fugitive of the Judoon, bear in mind, we'll be halfway through at that point.
Yep.
So that's episode 5. So if they are going to ramp up these cool sounding things that they've introduced, they can't wait around too long. Otherwise it's going to be the old school, let's wrap everything in a nice tidy bow in the last episode, because we haven't done it up to now.
And I'm also thinking, is the final a two-parter? I've got it in my head that it is, but I don't know that for sure. Because if it is, that will sort of be one story, so that only leaves 5, 6, only leaves sort of 3 stories. I don't know. I'm just sort of trying to work out. I don't know if the final's a two-parter, but I've sort of got it into my head that it was.
Yeah, if it is, then that leaves us 4 episodes,
including this week's.
No, that's not. So
no.
So we've Fugitive the Judoon is 5, Praxeus is 6, and then we've got 7 and 8. So that's 4.
Oh, I see.
And then that leaves 9 and 10 for the finale.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. So that's all right. I suppose there's still a nice little chunk there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely doable. Yeah. It would just be nice to have a bit more of a, Series 12 was about the Doctor and her struggles with, coming to terms with the Master being back and what's happened at Gallifrey, and this sort of very cryptic thing that he said to her. It would be nice to look back and think, oh yeah, Series 12 was really cool because it was about this thing with the Doctor, wasn't it?
You know? Yeah, definitely. I just looking forward to seeing where we go with all that.
Yes. Rightio. Shall we land her and do a bit of news?
All right.
Nothing exciting this week. We have just the viewing figures, just to let you know what's happening with Series 12 so far. So we told you about the overnight figures for Orphan 55 last week. We've got some confirmed figures for those now. So the overnights, I think, was something like 4 million, 4.1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
The confirmed figures are 5.38 million figures. And that is comprised of the people that watched overnight, along with the people that recorded it on iPlayer or Sky Plus or something. Recorded it on Sky Plus or something and then rewatched it, or they went onto iPlayer later on and watched it digitally that way. So that's now I saw quite a few tweets and I dived into a few discussions yesterday on Twitter about this. And to be honest with you, the ratings thing doesn't bother me that much, to be honest with you, because it did beat the ITV alternative that was on at the time. So at this time of year, ITV do Dancing on Ice, and that normally pulls in quite a few, but that's down as well. That's only had 5.10. So Doctor Who actually beat Dancing on Ice. So it was the prime time Sunday night winner out of the two channels. So the viewing figures don't really bother me too much. I mean, it is down to be fair, but it's more about the appreciation index score. Now, don't take this as a sign of my view, but this is the lowest AI score that we've had since Doctor Who came back in 2005.
Is it?
Yes.
Worse than Sleep No More? Blimey.
Yes, yeah. So I don't want to kind of tell you this, guys, as in I'm like the bringer of bad news. It's not really anything
the bringer of doom.
Yeah, it's not anything to sort of worry about, but it's something just to sort of take note of, that Orphan 55 did not do very well at all in terms of the viewing public, or whatever, the general public's, how they views the story in terms of enjoyment. So viewing figures were down slightly. The AI score was down, the lowest we've had. And it was kind of reflected. You could see that coming, to be honest with you, because after the episode had gone out, and again, I don't normally read into that too much, because I find that, especially Twitter, it's very much a knee-jerk reaction. When you've watched the episode, you immediately dive onto social and this was like the best thing ever. And then when you rewatch it a few times, you're like, okay, it's good, but maybe it wasn't the best thing. And then conversely, people say this is the worst thing ever, Doctor Who is dead to me and they should cancel it. And then they watch it another few times and like, actually, it wasn't as bad as when So that whole knee-jerk reaction thing, but you could see a lot of people saying how they didn't really like it too much. And our reviews as well. We didn't bash it into the ground, but we reviewed it kind of middle of the road. We gave it a 5.5. Yeah. So that was the official confirmed ratings for Orphan 55. And then I'll just move on, Bud, to the overnight figures for last Sunday's episode, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. That had an overnight of 4.04 million viewers. And that was, where does that sit with the other one? So the top one for Sunday night is Call the Midwife, which I think goes out after Doctor Who, doesn't it?
I'm not sure. I've never watched it. Yeah, actually, I think it was on straight after, yeah.
Yeah. That pulled in 6.3 mil. You had Country File that came in at 5.23.
Really?
And then you had The Trial of Christine Keeler at 3.46 behind Doctor Who. So apparently Doctor Who was in 6th place out of the top 10 viewed programs for Sunday nights. And apparently it was the 50th highest for the week on overnights. So as you can see, the ratings are not quite as strong in terms of the overnights as we've seen in previous series and years. However, you can't really go too much on the overnights. You have to wait for the official.
This is going to end up around about the same, and it's going to be about 5 million, probably slightly under the Orphan 55. I think this is where we're at now. I think it's just you just have to accept this is where we're at. I don't, like you said, it's nothing to get hung up about, but it's also, you can't deny that a lot of the fan base has obviously moved on. That happens all the time, and it can be for a lot of reasons. It can be because, somebody who was sort of 12 years old when David Tennant was the Doctor is now grown up, and he's a teenager, and he's more interested in going out and getting, smashed and beating girls than watching Doctor Who. And then, because, I don't know about you, but maybe not, because you started watching Doctor Who like quite late on, didn't you? When you only a couple of years ago, really, Matt Smith. But
2013, I started watching.
Yeah. Whereas I was watching Doctor Who ever since I can remember. Like literally, I can remember being like my parents' first house. I would have been like 5 years old. I can honestly remember seeing the tunnel effect of Tom Baker's intro and stuff. So, and then somewhere around, I don't know, I would have been like 18, 19. I'm looking at my shelf of Doctor Who stuff, and I'm like, I'm too old for this now. This is sort of after the McCoy era sort of thing, and which I loved, but I was like, no, I'm too old for Doctor Who. I need to have cool things on my wall. Let's get that, let's get that Prince poster up. Let's get that, so and then a couple of years later, you suddenly sort of think, oh no, where's all my Doctor Who stuff? And you bring it all out again, and we all go through phases, you know what I mean, of sort of moving on to other things and then coming back to what we love. So it's just what happens, isn't it? But I mean, obviously, yeah, it's definitely down on what it was before, but it's still healthy if you put it into perspective with the other shows that are on as well, that are around about the similar sort of viewing figures. I'm surprised that Country File's so high. I'll be honest, that's been on for years, and it's not exactly the most exciting of programs, is it? But there you go. Obviously, it's got a fan base.
Bloody Country File. Do you know what?
Is John Craven still on it?
I think Doctor Who is helping Country File,
Do you?
Yes, and let me tell you why. Because I've done this a few times myself, where on a Sunday, since Series 12 has started, I've kind of had my dinner round about half an hour before Doctor Who starts.
Yeah.
And if I'm not sitting at the dining room table with the family, or if we're just having a fairly more chilled, relaxed, whatever, I'm eating in the living room, I'm like, okay, Doctor Who's on in 20 minutes, for example, half an hour's time, whatever. I'll often put Country File on just in the background.
Oh, I get you.
So when it's finished, Doctor Who kicks in, especially if there's nothing else on. If there's nothing else on, it's one of those times where you're browsing through, there's literally nothing on TV. Just leave it on Country File because Doctor Who will be on soon. So I think there's quite a lot of people that would do that. I honestly think there's at least several thousand Who fans around the country that are getting ready for Doctor Who. So in the background, they've got Country File on, having their tea in preparation for it. So I reckon we're giving Country File a few viewing figures there.
I think you could be right. Because sometimes when I go on Twitter before Doctor Who's on, like literally like as it's about to start, I do see people saying, oh, for the love of God, can Country File just end? When is Doctor Who starting?
Exactly,
and I've seen that a few times. People, because it often overruns a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
So I think last week it was like 5 minutes late. So people were like, oh, come on. Doctor Who should be on now. Get off. So you could be right there. Maybe it's all a ploy. Those Country File people are like, just delay that by 5 minutes so that it overruns and picks up those viewing figures. They're crafty.
Crafty buggers.
Crafty Country File,
yeah. Anyways, there we go. That's like viewing figures for Orphan 55 and last Sunday's Nikola Tesla episode. Nothing to worry about. It's not like the tarot cards have been laid and Doctor Who's got the skeleton card or whatever it is and all that stuff. It's just TV's just watched differently these days. That's all. So you can't rely on the overnights to be a
Yeah, when it drops, if it drops under around 3, I think then we'd need to worry. I think 4 and 5 is still healthy. But yeah, like you said, if it drops to around about 2 or 3, it would be, oh dear, it'd be the tarot card of doom.
Yeah, anyways. So that's news. Let's see what Grumpy Pants has got for us.
Oh, yes.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
I work in a shop now, here to help.
Oh, he's not happy again.
He's never happy.
Christ. I don't know why. The bar should just be set at Dalek Tat is just a grumpy bugger 24/7.
You think he'd be happy with at least one of the items on his merchandise tray this week, but no.
Well, that's what I mean. And sometimes when we've had weeks where we're reviewing a Dalek story, you'd think he'd be over the moon.
Yeah.
But no. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's thrown over quite rudely the latest Big Finish release, which looks rather nice. So the seventh Doctor story, Doctor Who Dark Universe, has just been launched, and it is a crossover story, apparently, and it stars McCoy, Sophie Aldred, and Mark Bonner, and it is it picks up the relationship between the Doctor and the older Ace that we've come to love in previous months. So now she's grown up. She's the CEO of a charitable Earth, and this kind of ties into that very cool trailer that they put out for season 26. You know, with Sophie in the London high rise and all, and all that
Beautiful
stuff.
Trailer,
and so the 11 has a plan. Those of you that have listened to the McGann story box set before, is it
Doom Coalition?
Doom Coalition, yeah. So there's a character called the 11. He's in this story. So apparently the blurb for this one is the 11 has a plan, a grand plan, an appalling plan, a plan that endangers all life in the cosmos. With Ace working against him, the Doctor must rely on scheming Time Lord Cardinal Olistra for help. The stage is set for an epic confrontation. Because the Doctor has a plan to stop the 11, a grand plan, an appalling plan, a plan that endangers all life in the cosmos. Whichever one of them wins, the Dark Universe won't want to lose. This sounds freaking awesome, dude.
It is. So this is what I was listening to. This is what I was talking about at the start of the show. So yeah, I because of that lovely trailer, because there was a time I used to buy all the monthly range for Big Finish, but just because of money and stuff, I couldn't do that anymore. So I sort of cherry pick now. And this was one that caught my eye. I thought, I think I will get this one because of the trailer. And Ace has got, there's that book coming out by Sophie Aldred in a couple of months that ties in with Ace meeting the 13th Doctor. And it seems like Ace is really back, it really feels like Ace's time again at the moment. And I'm absolutely loving that. So you got the trailer, you got this, you almost feel like a spin-off might be in the making. I don't know. It would be great if it was, but I haven't heard anything. But so I thought, this seems like a good one to pick up. And I've listened to the first 2 episodes and absolutely loving it. So the Doctor that hasn't seen Ace for 20 years, he goes back and she's a bit grumpy with him, and there's reasons for that. And then you've got the 11 thrown in, who's a great creation. And I've really enjoyed the first 2. I'm probably going to listen to the rest this afternoon, but the first 2 episodes were brilliant. The only thing I would say is because the 11 is a character that has all these voices in his head, if you're not familiar with him, it might be easy to get a bit lost in the first episode, because there's all the different voices keep talking, and I suppose you might sort of think, well, who's that meant to be? And a lot of them sound like the Doctor, and you're like, is that the Doctor talking? What's going on? But if you sort of know the character of the 11, it all kind of fits in with the Doom Coalition stuff. But I think you could listen to it as a standalone, though. I don't think it's too much of a problem. But a lot of Big Finish do that. They do tie in with each other. But I think this one, you could probably listen to it as a standalone. It wouldn't matter too much, I don't think. But you'd probably benefit from listening to Doom Coalition and stuff first, I guess.
Yeah, possibly.
But it's not essential, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've listened to so far. Sophie Aldred is absolutely awesome in it, as you'd expect. McCoy is brilliant. I mean, he does these couple of little sort of bits before the music starts, like little intros, just real short monologues, and they're really good. Just really, you can just tell. You can imagine him in the studio. You can just tell that he's loving this script. He's really sort of relishing every word. And highly recommend it. I haven't finished it yet. Hopefully the rest is good, but certainly what I've listened to so far, mate, really do recommend it. Yeah just
sounds good. Yeah. And the cover art's really nice in this one, by a guy called Simon Holub. He's done a bunch of Big Finish over the years. It's very, very cool. But yes, this is available right now. You can pick it up from the Big Finish website for $12.99 on download and $14.99 on CD.
Yeah, and I always get them from Big Finish themselves, because if you buy the CD, you get the download for free, so you can listen to it straight away, which I love it when they do stuff like that. So, yeah, sounds good. Hopefully I'll finish that, and I'll let you know next week if it was as good as the first half. Right, moving on. Some toys have been announced. Toys, Gary. Yay.
Toys, yay.
Love Doctor Who toys. I think this is where me and you are quite different, isn't it? Because I genuinely love figures and play sets and TARDISes and all this stuff, whereas I know you're not so bothered. But there is, I think, fans of the sort of figure series and collector sets are going to be very pleased about this. So there's some new sets coming out. There's some new figures coming out. We're looking, I think, towards the end of February at the moment. These are going to be released. So we've got a 13th Doctor TARDIS, which I'm loving the look of, and it's light and sound as well. So it's going to be having that. The only thing is, I'd heard this had been cancelled, right? Because they were going to do a new sculpt. They were going to, because obviously Jodie's TARDIS is quite different in dimensions, and it's got that funny little bar, at the top, all around the edges and stuff. Because there wasn't, hate to say this, it sounds like I'm being voice of doom, but it's just a fact. Because there wasn't enough interest from retailers, a lot of the plans for these sets changed or got scrapped. So, for example, the TARDIS, there wasn't enough interest to justify the cost of a new sculpt. So they've reused an old sculpt, and they've done their best to make it look like the 13th Doctor's TARDIS. Personally, I think it looks good. I really like the look of it. But I don't know. If you're going to be sort of picky, you could say, well, it's not quite right. But I don't know. It looks quite decent from the promo images anyway. There was going to be a 3 companion figure set, which I think got cancelled. But there is going to be a version of that exclusive to B&M, which will consist of what's it going to be? Ryan and Yaz, I think.
That's right.
And somebody else, as an exclusive B&M set. We've got the Dalek from Resolution with its little, what do you call that thing? The creature. He's holding it in his arms. I guess you can, like the Dalek creature.
With the mutant accessory, the reconnaissance Dalek.
Reconnaissance Dalek is it, with Dalek mutant accessory. We've got Graham. So I'll be honest with you, out of these figures, Graham's the one that I think looks a bit. I'm not. It's such a shame, because I know people will love having a Graham figure, but I'm not sure about that one. If I'm absolutely honest, I don't think the likeness is there, but maybe it'll look better in hand. And then we've got a new variation of the 13th Doctor herself with a different colour top, and she's got her bum bag and Sonic. And what colour is the top, Gary? Because I'm colourblind. Is it pink?
It's a pink one. Yep.
Pink top. Okay. So new figures. So you got 13th Doctor TARDIS. There's going to be a Judoon with gun, reconnaissance Dalek, Graham, 13th Doctor with bag, and then there's going to be Yaz and Ryan exclusive B&M set with another figure. And also, what was this? 13th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver was on display. Oh, so they're basically going to reissue the Sonic.
Yeah.
So it's new stuff coming out sort of from the end of Feb onwards, by the looks of it. Price-wise, figures are going to be around about $12.99. TARDIS is going to be $19.99. And on top of that, there's also some big building kits. I don't know how this is like the Meccano type stuff, is it?
It looks that, the old metal construction stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit out of the blue, isn't it? I wasn't expecting this. This is very retro. I mean, I remember Meccano from when I was a kid, but we are going back years. And I can't tell from these pictures how big they are, but there's going to be a collector's construction model of K9 and a Skaro Dalek. What do you think of these? Because from a retro point of view, I think they're awesome, but also I don't like them enough. I won't be buying them. I don't know. I'm really torn on these. It's different. It's very niche market, isn't it?
Yes. I think these two things are the best thing to come out of
That's
London
weird. Yeah. See, I like the figure sets, and I'm looking forward to those. But you like these Meccano type sets, do you?
Yeah, I do. I think the Skaro Dalek is embargoed at the moment, so we can't see an image of that. But they put an image of K9 on there, which looks okay. I would have loved to have seen it in just silver metal, because K9 is silver. So they've used this kind of bronzy, taupe coloured.
He looks
metal.
green to me, but that's probably because I'm colourblind. But he looks green.
Yeah, it's kind of a browny taupe colour, which is weird. So I'm hoping that's just a prototype thing, and the actual colours will be different. But the box artwork looks really nice. So I think these are really cool, bud. I might actually see how much these are going to be. There's no word on pricing or availability for these yet, but
I can actually imagine you building one of these. This is just the sort of thing you would like, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
imagine
awesome.
you building the Meccano Dalek, which is cool. Whereas I'm just don't have the patience. I know that I'd just get it all wrong. It'd end up looking like some sort of ball of nuts and bolts. And but the figure sets, nothing grabbing you there. Not a new TARDIS for your shelf.
No, do you know what, dude? These look bloody awful, mate.
Oh, really? Not even the Dalek?
No, it looks terrible.
Yeah,
I'm not joking, mate.
I knew you wouldn't like them.
I fell out of love with figures a few years ago now. And do you know what it is? It's because, I hate to say it, but I think the BBC really need to look at transferring the license to a different manufacturer. I just think that the character have just done progressively worse jobs, mate, over the years. I mean, these look really bad. I'm not just saying that because I'm not going to buy them, but they just look. Graham looks nothing like Graham at all.
It looks like who's that guy? It's going around Twitter at the minute, isn't it? Who's that guy who does catchphrase? It looks just like him. I don't know his name.
Oh, the young chap. Yeah, Stephen Mulhern, as his name.
Yeah, something like that. It does actually look like him. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The Jodie face sculpt is dreadfully done.
I think this is exactly the same figure that we got last year in terms of sculpt, I think.
It is, yeah,
because you can tell. It's just a repaint. Yeah, it's just a repaint, isn't it?
Yeah, you can tell by the hair. The Reconnaissance Dalek looks awful. It looks really bad. Like none of the arm sections line up with each other. The paintwork spilling over into the lights on the side of the head. It just looks bloody awful. And then
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and then the icing on the cake is that character are not even bothering to print an inlay to put inside the TARDIS. So it's just going to be a hollow shell. And then somebody said on the comment section on one of the merchandise sites that character had mentioned to somebody at the toy fair that they may or may not put a link to something on their website where you can print a card out, fold it up yourself, and put it in the TARDIS. What is that about? Come on.
I must admit that is one thing, because I genuinely do like the look of these. You know me, I love figures, and I can never have enough TARDIS, whatever. Yeah. I can never have enough. So I'll definitely be getting these. I do like the look of the Dalek as well. But one thing that always bugs me, especially when I review these things, is the inlay of the TARDIS. So we got those nice TARDIS sets last year. You know, we got the Sharda TARDIS and
is this the B&M sets?
The B&M ones. I don't know if you liked them or not, but,
okay.
But the TARDIS, I thought the Sharda one, I absolutely loved it. But they look great, and then you open the doors and you've got this horrible big battery compartment, which doesn't even need to be there because they don't actually make light or sound. They've just reused the sculpt from the ones that did years ago. So you got all this horrible stuff when you open the doors, and it is such a shame because, just even a cheap little cardboard inlay of the console would hide all that, and it can't cost that much to produce a card inlay, surely. And it's just a very simple thing, but it would make such a difference. It would just really make it just feel a bit more like, because it does feel like a half finished, it feels like, yay, what a lovely TARDIS. You open the door. Oh, what the heck? It's all the glue and you see everything inside. And it's just, I know what you mean. I think an inlay would be, especially as this is supposed to be. So those were budget B&M sets last year. So they're made to a budget. So fair enough. But this is supposed to be, a more premium range, if you like. This is, I assume, going to be available from, they're going to hope to sell these to like Forbidden Planet and other toy shops out there. I don't know what we've got left now, but you know what I mean? These are not exclusive to B&M, as far as I'm aware. So you'd think, being a bit more premium, they would put a backing in the TARDIS, but sadly not. No, maybe they'll rethink it. I don't know how far they've got into production, but little things like that could just make the difference. People will buy them anyway, mate. But honestly, people will just lap these up because,
of course,
people like myself just can't get enough of this sort of figure collection stuff. But it does feel a little bit like half-hearted, and the new sculpt thing's a bit of a shame as well. But there we go.
I know, mate. Yeah, I just think the quality of character stuff now is just terrible. I would never buy it. They need to transfer the license to a different manufacturer. I think character have had it for too long.
Did you ever see the 720 13th Doctor figure though? Now that really was horrific, considering they did a fairly decent job of their Sonic, the one that you've got.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see they did a 13th Doctor figure?
Mm-hmm.
It was shocking. Yeah. It was absolutely shocking. So at least it's not as bad as that.
Not as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I knew we'd be divided on this, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because there are some manufacturers out there. I know it's all to do with money and contracts and stuff, and I think I've mentioned this before, but if you look at the Star Wars series of toys, I'm not talking about the Black Series toys. I'm just talking about their regular 3.75 inch, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But even the Black Series stuff, the quality is so much higher. When for those kind of things. And I know there's Star Wars is like a super franchise and they sell like millions more toys. I get that. But there must be other manufacturers out there that can produce figures to even if they just ramped the quality notch up one, that would be enough, I think, I might pick a few sets up. But when the figures look nothing like, with the exception of Jodie, it kind of looks a bit like her, but the companions, that don't look anything like the likeness is just not there, and the quality is shabby. Yeah, it's just not good, mate. But I can see from the other side of the coin, people like yourself and other fans that collect the figures and like them and stuff. It's all good, but
I think a lot of it comes down to the interest as well. It always, I suppose I'm kind of on the side of I'm grateful that we still get anything, because there has been such a massive drop in. So do you remember that podcast we listened to saying about a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the shops abroad now won't even touch Doctor Who because it just doesn't sell.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just always grateful that we still get stuff, because I know that the interest has dropped massively. But it's weird because when stuff like this is released, there is such a buzz around it. You think, oh well, these are going to sell, and I think these will sell, to be fair. But yeah, it's just a shame. Like you got that side of it, but then you got the side of it where there wasn't enough interest to even make a new TARDIS sculpt, and you're like, well, where are we with this then? So, but yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely be getting these. I expect people to be snapping them up and selling them on eBay for silly prices, but hopefully they'll be available to order online this time, and we'll be able to get our hands on them.
Yeah, I think these ones will be okay, because these ones, they'll you just know what's going to happen. You'll go into Forbidden Planet in 3 years' time, and there'll be loads of Grahams on the shelf, loads of Ryan and Yaz's, a few Doctors on there, and they'll be on sale for $7.99, whatever. So I think these ones you'll be fine. It's the B&M sets, which I think
the B&M sets,
they'll be snapped up quick. Yeah,
because that blimmin' 10-inch Jodie doll thing is. I see that everywhere for like £5. It was 20 quid. And it's just everywhere, isn't it? 12 for £5. It's just like, obviously didn't sell very well. Even B&M have got that in stock now for £5. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think initially these will probably sell really well, and then, like you said, there'll be certain ones that don't sell, and they'll probably be around for ages. Yeah, hope. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway,
character stuff. New figures coming the end of Feb. I think it is. Yeah, late in February.
Late Feb. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that concludes Merch Corner. Dalek Tat I don't know where he's gone.
He's laughing. Yeah. He's laughing at you being grumpy. He's saying something about you agreeing with him. Gary, you would make a good Dalek, he said.
Oh, steady.
Oh, no.
Steady. I've got my Eccleston look of shock.
Don't encourage him.
Yeah. Rightio. Review time. What are we doing this week, bud?
Indeed. So, yes, Series 12 rocketing on, and it's Nikola Tesla. Oh, how'd you say it? Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror.
I am Nikola Tesla.
Shame you're a big fat liar. It could look like anything, be anywhere.
Prototype death ray. I believe you wanted to see this.
This is going to be something special.
Hollyoaks music again.
Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. It was broadcast, as we all know, very recently, the 19th of January. It was written by Nina Mativier. It was directed by Nida Manzoor, and it stars the usual TARDIS team along with a smallish supporting cast, I would say. And the kind of crux of the story, we're in New York, 20th century, around the time of Nick Tesla and Thomas Edison, and it's all around his inventions and his grand ideas for things around communication around the world and electricity and all that stuff. But he's going through a bit of a hard time. Nobody seems to share his vision. Nobody seems to want to invest in anything. So, and then whilst he's going on, he's kind of unbeknownst to everyone else, he really has been potentially contacting aliens from another planet. That's all a bit of a hoo-ha in the press. He's playing it down. It turns out that there's an alien race who are called the Skithra
or something.
The Skithra. Is it the Skithra? Yeah, the Skithra. And quite bizarrely, what they do is they kind of, all of their technology is like a Frankenstein's monster of all the other planets' technology and construction and stuff. They're going through hard times with their ship at the moment, so they put the feelers out looking for Tesla because of his well-known. They kind of put a probe out to Earth, looks at all of Earth's history and stuff and what's going on, and they identify Tesla as the guy that's going to fix their weapon systems and their ships and stuff like that. Turns out the Doctor clocks onto this. She is in it to stop the Skithra and the scavengers, basically, and Thomas Edison gets thrown into the mix as well. It's a bit of a historical. It goes through the relationship between Tesla and Edison. They're two different ways of how they think about things. So Tesla was obviously the guy that developed AC current. Edison's the guy that pioneered DC, direct current. It's about those two coming to loggerheads about that and other things while this whole alien stuff is going on. I hope I've got that round the right way. I'm sure it's Tesla.
That sounded right, yeah.
That came up with AC. I think
so, yeah.
If I'm wrong on that, that's a huge fail. So let me just fact check myself. He invented alternating current AC. Yes, excellent. Right, got that right.
Yes.
Right, so episode 4, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. What did you think to this one, dude?
Wow, I had to watch this last night. I always watch them twice, as you know, but I feel like I've actually only watched this once because I came home on Sunday from being at a party. And I was...
You were at a party?
I was at a party. It was at the neighbours. The neighbours had a little get-together with all the other neighbours. And there was drinks are-flowing and little nibbly bits, but I didn't actually eat anything, so I was absolutely trolled. So I came in, I thought, I gotta go. Doctor Who's on. Been a great time. Thanks. I come in, I was absolutely spinning. Put the old TV on. I played a bit of piano and put the TV on, and I was all over the place. So it's on, and I'm sat there, and I really am trashed. I mean, I can see myself now just on the sofa, just like looking at it. And I can remember saying, oh, here it is. Here's the old Solek out again. Yeah, come on. And all this. I was on my own, by the way. This is just me on my own in the house, just talking to the television. And I honestly woke up the next day. And I mean, I even managed to put a post out. I don't even know how I did that. I read it the next day, and I'd put, so then, what do you all think to Nikola Tesla's blah, blah, blah? I was like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? I was just absolutely smashed. Couldn't remember a thing about it. Like, literally, people were talking about it. And I was like, didn't seem to be that much of a reaction, really. It seemed like, you know, like how Orphan 55 Twitter exploded. And so I opened up Twitter the next day, you know, massively hungover. Oh, what was Doctor Who last night then? And it didn't seem to be that much going on. And I didn't remember anything about it. So I thought, oh, I bet it was rubbish. Oh, dear. Anyway, thought, right, podcast recording tomorrow. Must give this another watch. Watched it last night. And I actually quite enjoyed it for the most part. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. There is a few issues with it. I mean, I don't think it was by any means perfect, but I just thought the cast were really good. I thought everyone in it, you know, like sometimes when you get historical, the acting just takes you out of it because people are doing accents and he wasn't very good sort of thing or whatever. But I thought in this one the cast really held it together. But I'll come on to the sort of, I think there were a few shortcomings in terms of, you know, our TARDIS team being wasted a bit and stuff like that. But yeah, the main creature, whatever she was called, because that is the thing, I've only watched this once, so I still don't know what the monster was called or anything. But the one played by, was it Queen Skithra? Yeah, I thought she was awesome. Played by Anjali, I can never say, Mahindra, who we know from Sarah Jane, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It is her from Sarah Jane, isn't it?
Yep.
Is that right? Is that the Rani?
Yeah, that's Rani. Yeah. Not the Rani, that's Rani. Yep.
Yeah, but I thought it was a good watch. I enjoyed it. It's funny because it got to the end of it and I cannot put my finger on it. I still feel like something just was missing. It didn't reach the heavy heights of being amazing. It still felt like there was something missing from it. But I don't know what, because I don't know what else they could have given. It had a good monster. It had lots of action. It had a good, you know, get introduced a bit of historical to it. The cast I thought were all great. So I don't know why. I still think it was good, but I just don't know why it didn't quite. I didn't sort of finish it and think that was blimmin' brilliant. I just sort of thought, yeah, that was good. So yeah, a decent episode. That's it. That's about as much as it's just a decent episode. Nothing great, nothing bad, in my opinion. Yeah. So what do you think?
Okay. Yeah. So I thought this was a very enjoyable episode.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I thought this was a miles apart from Orphan 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm really hoping, because in every series of Doctor Who, regardless of the Doctor, there's always at least one little blip, isn't there?
One clunker.
Yeah. There's always one. I think so anyway. I could be wrong. I'm struggling to think of a series where literally every episode from start to finish is an absolute belter. There's always at least one little blip along the road. And I'm hoping that Orphan 55 is a bit like Kablam for Series 11 for me. Kablam was just freaking awful.
I thought what was it?
Actually, there was a couple.
The Pating you hated.
Oh, yeah, that was Kablam, wasn't it? No, that was...
no, I think you're thinking of the Pating one, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking
of you really hated.
Yeah, so probably a bad example. Series 11 had various blips, unfortunately, but you know what I mean. There's always one. So I think Orphan 55 was it. So it felt like we were back on track almost for this one. Like you, I don't think that still felt like there was something missing in terms of. And like you, I'm struggling to put my finger on it exactly, but it felt like. I guess for me, it felt like there wasn't enough room and enough time around the Skithra for me. It felt like the scenes with those guys were rushed a wee bit. And it was only towards the end that you felt like the threat level had ramped up to a serious degree.
Yeah.
Up to that point, I don't know. It felt like we just didn't have enough time with those as monsters or villains, if you like. Which I can understand why, because a lot of the story was focused on Tesla, obviously, he's the star of the show, basically. So I kind of get why. That's only a small complaint, really, though. It was still, it's in my opinion, a very good, enjoyable episode. And I think I'm going to struggle to say his name all the way through, so I'm just going to get it out the way. So Goran Visnich, or Visnik, I can't get it any closer than that, I don't think. So from here on in, I'm just going to refer to him as Goran. I'm going to skip the surname, but his performance, I thought, was very, very good.
I did as well. I've never seen this guy before, as far as I'm aware. I don't know what else he's done, but
he's done loads. But I've not seen him before. Apparently, he's been in loads and loads of things, but I've not seen him before. But I thought
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I was going to say I felt the same. In fact, he just felt very assured in his performance. It really felt like a natural. Because as I said, sometimes when they do historicals, people do ham it up a bit or seem to go a bit over the top, and he just felt very natural. And I thought he really suited that part. I was really sort of invested in his character. I think one of the things we've said, with sort of series 11 and sometimes series 12 is you get detached from the characters because they're just not really fully formed or the acting's not very good, so you don't really care. But I instantly liked him from the very beginning when he was by Niagara Falls, and his performance was just very good. So I think that helped as well. And obviously the other chap, Glenister, what's his name? Robert Glenister as Thomas Edison, really good, and another one, a good performance. So you got two very good, supporting characters there, and I think that helped as well. I think the thing that was missing for me, because as I said, I overall I enjoyed this, but one thing that sort of I think was a bit flat in the episode is this thing of with Graham and Ryan. They just felt like a lot of the time they were just in the background, just following the Doctor around. I really do think the writers are struggling to find things for all the companions to do. And I know it's a bit of a stuck record now, but I really feel like there's too many companions. Or at least I just feel like they struggle to do anything. Because there was so many scenes when they're just sort of plodding around. I'm talking mainly about Graham and Ryan, sadly, because at least Yaz got something to do. She was transported to the ship, and at least she got to sort of get stuck into the action. But Ryan and Graham are becoming just a bit of a sort of double act to throw in the odd funny line, but they're just in the background. And I just felt that sort of let it down a little bit. I was just like, because there was a nice scene at the start with them on the train and everything, but they just didn't have anything to do. Whereas at least Yaz got stuck in. But I think that's it. I just sort of think like you've got this TARDIS team who I really want to love, I mean, especially Graham, and there's a cool little relationship between Graham and Ryan, but they're kind of just getting wasted every week. If it's not them, it's Yaz getting wasted. It's just, each week one of them just gets nothing to do. At least one of them gets nothing to do, particularly. So I think that's what kind of just let it down a little bit for me. I just felt like there were scenes where, they were just there doing nothing. If you see what I mean.
No, I read you. Yeah, I think so. Graham again had a couple of cool.
He had a good AC/DC line.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Other than that, but do you know what? But I think that's just a byproduct of having that many companions with the Doctor.
It is.
You can't serve them all up awesome stuff to do in every episode. Otherwise, it just becomes too busy. You can't. You have to sideline at least one of them. Otherwise, it just gets in the way of the story you're trying to tell. Unless the story is about the companions, you have to sideline at least one of them.
And also, as much as I love Graham, him calling the Doc is starting to get on my nerves.
Really?
Yeah. I just wanted to turn around and say, kindly refrain from calling me Doc. I don't know. It's I don't know why. It's just starting to annoy me a little bit.
Doctor Who's more casual these days.
Yeah, I guess. But I do think one thing that struck me was that, because we talk about maybe we'll lose one of them, is one of them going to die this series and all this sort of stuff. We sort of try and predict what, might happen. And I'm thinking the Doctor and Yaz do actually, there is a good chemistry between those two. Like they actually worked quite well together in this episode. Now, I know there's all these rumors about them, shipping and all that stuff. I'm not going down that route, but I'm just saying I think they do actually work together as a good, Doctor companion team, the Doctor and Yaz. Especially the bit on the spaceship when she threw the bracelet, or no, what happened? There was a good moment on Spaceship with her and Yaz. I can't think what it was. When she rescued Yaz. Oh, Yaz said something about the photo.
Oh,
she
yeah.
goes, what do cameras do, or whatever. That really nice moments like that between the Doctor and Yaz. And I thought, yeah, they work well together. The Doctor and Graham work well together because she gets fed up of all his dad jokes and stuff. So that's a good rapport. So at the moment, for me, as much as nothing against Tosin, and I quite like the character of Ryan, for me, he's kind of the one that's just being served the least, if you know what I mean. He's just, in terms of the sort of rapport with the Doctor as well, I can't really think of anything sort of between those two in terms of nice moments or anything. Can you?
With Ryan?
With Ryan,
no,
yeah.
he was in the background quite a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In the same way,
I'm not saying I want him to die, but I'm just saying I don't think he's out of the TARDIS team. I think Yaz and Graham are sort of the two that I'm warming to the most, and I've nothing against Ryan, but he just doesn't seem to get much rapport with the Doctor.
Well, the difference being is that unless Ryan has had a really, really good or funny line written for him, his delivery is not as funny as Graham's.
He's very deadpan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very deadpan.
When Graham sort of intersects with these funny little moments or these one-liners, they're a bit more memorable because Bradley Walsh is so good as Graham. And he's got that very kind of Cockney, sort of London kind of feel to his character, obviously. And it's very funny. Like in this episode, he's like, "Oi, AC/DC." So it's a funny thing. But when Ryan has his lines, they fall a bit flatter because he's a lot more. He's a quieter character, really, and he's not as brash, I suppose. So I guess that's the difference, really. When this is a perfect example in this episode when they both get sidelined, and they only have these little moments within the story. Graham's are going to be more memorable because they're funnier, and the way that Bradley Walsh performs is, very cool. So. But it was the same it's the same concept when we've had stories where Yaz has been sidelined.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was just trying to think in my head, like if one of them's got to go. So if you were going to pick a TARDIS team, so let's say it's the Doctor and two companions, I think that could work. But which one are you going to get rid of? Because I think Yaz and Graham work great with the Doctor, but also I think if you were to get rid of Graham, I think you'd have a good dynamic between the Doctor, Ryan, and Yaz. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to get rid of Graham, but which would you get rid of? Who do you think they work best with?
Yeah. So I would say Ryan to go.
Ryan to go.
Yes. And I'm not saying that because I've got anything against Tosin or Ryan as a character. I really don't. I just feel like a TARDIS team of 4 is always going to be, like I said, they're always going to have stories where you can't shove every single one of them into the spotlight. And then as a result of that, you end up with people like us reviewing the stories, always saying things like they were sidelined and they didn't do much. So I'm surprised we still have a 4-person TARDIS team, to be honest with you. So I think, like my prediction from episode 1 was that one of them's going to go this series. I think if anyone's going to go, it's going to be Ryan, because I think from the BBC's point of view, in terms of trying to keep that appreciation score, that index score up, I think Bradley Walsh does that to a degree. So he's not going to go anywhere. And between Ryan and Yaz, they're not going to get rid of a woman. Now, I really hate to be the...
I can hear the booing. Boo,
yeah, I don't mean to bring politics into it. I really don't. But based on the BBC's outlook on things over the past couple of years, they're not going to kill off a female companion. I just cannot see them. And I really hate doing it. I can't believe we've come to this, that politics has come into Doctor Who, but they're not going to kill off a female companion yet. So I think Ryan is the one that's got to go.
I must admit, I would like to see, because I think if they kill one of them off, I think it's almost a little bit predictable, really. It's like, yeah, we knew one of them was going to go. I would just like one of them to just leave, to just, to find a different way to leave. Do they have to be killed off? Can we not have something a bit different? I mean, if you think about Rose, getting trapped in the alternative universe. Just thinking about, poor old Rose. But yeah, do something different. It almost feels a bit predictable if one of them gets killed off. Even a bit like when Tegan, she'd had enough, didn't she? It's stopped becoming fun. Maybe do something like that. Maybe Ryan's just fed up of like his love interest being killed every week, so he. And Yaz won't give his sister his number, and do something a bit different. I think would be cool. They don't have to be killed off, and then it does open it to. Because I think we said back in series 11, you could have the Doctor just going back. They don't have to be in it every week. Why couldn't Graham say, "Oh, I need a week off. I'm just going to have a chill out this week, Doc."
Right,
so
Doc.
it's just an adventure with like the Doctor and Ryan and Yaz, and then she picks him up the following week and. Maybe Ryan says, "Oh yeah, I'm off to play basketball this week, Doc. So you three go off and have an adventure, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time." Mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
I think that would work just as well.
You mentioned one thing that's popped into my head. You mentioned that Ryan's love interest is going to be killed off every week.
Yeah.
It might be a case of, and this is another cool storyline they could do, is that remember in the last episode when Ryan was talking to Bella when they were in the transporter, and then you had Yaz that looked over and she had like a sort of jealous vibe about
jealous,
her. Yeah. Maybe it's a case of by the end of series 12, Yaz has realised that she does actually like Ryan. And there's maybe that bit where you think, are they going to get together? And then one of them dies. And it's a real heartbreaking, because Doctor Who likes doing that with Rose and then with Amy and Rory. Doctor Who likes to pull the heartstrings and pull the rug out from under your feet where it concerns the romantic side of things. So that would be quite a cool thing. And it's weird to say, because you don't really want to say like you want any of the companions to be killed or anything like that. But I think for the sake of the story and the sake of the dynamic moving forward after Series 12, I personally feel like one of them's got to go. One of them's got to get out.
I always have Graham's condition in the background of my mind as well. Like, we know that Graham's recovered from cancer and he has to have checkups and stuff. So that storyline's always in the background a bit as well, isn't it? So because that's it's the sort of thing Chibbers might bring into it, as well.
Why not just take him back to the old hospital in New Earth with the cats?
Going back and see the face. Oh no, the face of Bo's gone, isn't he?
Gone, yeah. But they can cure anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I was thinking
you could have the storyline where you could have a heartbreaking. I mean, I think for me that would be too heartbreaking if he sort of relapsed and Yaz would be like, well, you could save him, Doctor, but she can't because it's changing the timelines or whatever. I don't know. You could do. I mean, that would probably tear me to shreds if they did that storyline. But he is Chibbers. He might want to do something a bit like that, because he does like to, does like to do things like that.
But the thing is, I really feel like Doctor Who needs that right now.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
It really feels like it needs just an emotional wallop just to give something memorable to a series for Jodie. Because if you think about the previous Doctors, they've all had at least one big event in one of their series that makes you remember what that series is about.
Yeah.
Even going back to the classic years, there's always been one thing that you thought, oh, crikey, do you remember that? I honestly don't feel like Jodie's had that yet. So I feel like one of her series needs to have a big kind of twist, emotional thing to make you think back and like, oh, dude. I mean, it might even be, they might even wait until she's leaving and they do like a regen thing and that's her big event thing. I don't know. But I feel like not now, but I feel like a good opportunity to create that is with the companions, because, as much as I hate to say it, you've got three of them to play with.
Yeah. Do you not think? I mean, maybe in my mind, I think Chibbers might have thought he's done that with the Master reveal, though.
No, it's
but
not
because
enough.
It was the Master. No. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not enough, is it? That's the thing. Because we've had so much of the Master since the show came back. It's not big enough to be. I mean, it was a great moment. It's not big enough to be that sort of standout, I don't think.
Not yet, anyway. Not yet. I think, if they towards the end of the series, when he inevitably comes back, and we get more around the bombshells that he dropped in episode 1, then that might be a big enough thing if they tie it all together.
Yeah.
But just him coming back and saying, I'm the master, that's brilliant. It was great, don't get me wrong, but that's not enough to be like the big Series 12 event.
Yeah.
But I'd hate to see, sorry, just last thing, I'd hate to see us get to the end of Series 12 and all 4 TARDIS crew are in the TARDIS and they're all just standing there sort of smiling at each other, like, where are we going next then, Doc? You know, it might be a happily ever after. Yeah, it might be a happily ever after, but I really feel like that would be just a stale, not a great ending to the series. Something has to happen. So something needs weight to it, a big emotional weight carry to it.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree, mate. I was going to say, just go back to sort of this particular story, though. I think that's the thing. I think every week you're sort of waiting. You know, when we both say something is missing, I think that's the thing with the story. It was good. It was a good story. It felt like Doctor Who, and there was plenty of historical and alien mixed up with it, so it's all good. But maybe it's that emotional thing that's missing. You know, like, oh God, I'm sounding like I'm being nostalgic now, but you know, like there was always little moments, and I'm thinking with this one, there was a good intro to this. There was a good sort of 5 minutes, I'd say, before the Doctor came into it. Yeah, I like that because it made her entrance, you know, had a bit more impact. But I couldn't help but feel, and this is nothing against Jodie because I thought she was good in this episode, but I couldn't help but feel when she finally makes her entrance after 5 minutes, I don't know that she's got that screen presence, really. You know, I like her. I'm liking her more and more as the Doctor, but I'm sort of thinking, you know how like Tom would waltz into a room and you just couldn't take your eyes, or Troughton, you just couldn't take your eyes off them. I don't know that Jodie's got that screen presence, and I don't know what she can do about that, because I was thinking there was a great 5 minutes of storytelling before the Doctor comes in. I don't know, but that's not a slight on Jodie, because I did think she was good in this episode. I really do. I really am starting to like her as the Doctor, actually, finally. So, but do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. It's that thing that I can't put my finger on what's missing, but I don't know. That should have been a real here's the Doctor, but it wasn't. It was just like, oh, here we go. Funny line, something about, I don't know. She come out with it. The first thing she said was like a funny quip, and then it's an explosion and we're off. And it was, maybe it's just a little bit too predictable. I don't know.
No, I kind of get what you're saying. But we have to, I do think about that sometimes, but when I think about it, I also try and pull my mind out of thinking like that sometimes, because
I think it's that thing of not taking your eyes off the screen now. I think that's the thing. I like Jodie, but she just sort of fits in. It's like the 4 of them all just are on the same level. When I'm watching it, like I don't feel like, like Troughton. Every scene he's in, I just can't take my eyes off him.
Yeah.
He stands apart from the sort of rest of his companions. And with Jodie, as much as I like her, it just feels like she's on the same level as the companion. She doesn't stand out. I don't think, right, the Doctor's on screen now, look out. I'm just not getting that, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah. And I think, sometimes it's easy to think that way, in my opinion. Sometimes it's easy to think with your nostalgia goggles on, previous Doctors had that screen presence. Yeah. I remember a few episodes, dude, over the years where I thought a couple that spring to mind for me is things like the Tennant episode Gridlock, or something like, I don't know, The Lodger from Matt Smith. I'm just trying to pick out a few episodes here where I think those stories were okay and they were good, but I don't remember Matt Smith or Tennant having like amazing screen presence in those episodes.
I know what you're saying.
Everything kind of felt flat, Yeah. So I think I do get what you're saying, definitely. The way that Jodie's been written for Series 12 is an improvement for sure.
Oh, definitely. And she's getting more screen time on her own as well, which is definitely needed. I think that's the thing. I like her when she's not surrounded by the fam, like when she's at the end scene, when she's running off with Tesla to do, to hook up the electricity beacon thingy at the end. Great stuff. And I think that's what we need more of, is just the Doctor being the Doctor, on her own. She doesn't need to have that sort of fam around her all the time. I just like to see her standing out a bit more, I think. But yeah, they definitely are going down that road. Definitely.
Do you know what we need, Bud? I think we need a Doctor solo story. I think is needed.
like a Heaven Sent.
Yes, or Midnight or something. I feel like we need something where all of the companions, not just one or two of them, all of the companions are somewhere else. No, don't really care about the storyline around that. But we have a single story where it's just Jodie to really shine.
Yeah.
I feel that would be a good thing.
But they're definitely developing Jodie, and she's definitely developing her character. As I said, I'm really starting to warm to her Doctor, really starting to like her Doctor. She still does a lot of that sort of out of breath acting and a lot of gulping, but it's definitely there is definitely a progression there for sure. I mean, the other nitpicks for this episode would be the Sonic. I'm afraid. I know again it's a bit of a stuck record, but stop using that blimmin' Sonic to do all the readings and everything. Get rid of that blimmin' Sonic. And I'm not tying this to Jodie. Matt was the same. Too much Sonic. Stop using it for everything. Yeah, that was one of the things I was shouting at the screen when I was drunk. But I kind of felt the same thing when I was watching it sober. I do get a bit fed up of that, seeing that Sonic waved around.
No, I read you. Yeah,
but that's it. Yeah, it's just those really were my only nitpicks with it. I thought the story was good. The production was fantastic. Again, absolutely brilliant production. Cast were really good. A good bit of threat level as well. That's one thing that's massively improved in Series 12 is the monsters and threat level has been upped massively, I think, and is gelling very nicely with the storytelling that they're trying to do. So historical this week mixed with a bit of alien, it's working quite well again, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like we've discussed Doctor Who in general. In terms of this episode, it did have some really cool stuff in it. Like you said, the production side of things, as usual. Since Series 11, really, I think this is the best that Doctor Who's ever looked on screen.
Oh, it's incredible. Like even from that opening shot of Niagara Falls, and it looks fantastic.
However,
fantastical, as I think Edison tells us said. Yeah. However, there was something wrong with the focus, though. Something wrong with the focus? For the first half of this story. Now, I didn't. Drunk? Well, I thought I was drunk for a minute, and I thought to myself, was I just really tired? Because I must admit, I didn't watch this when it went out at its broadcast time because I was out. Right. So I didn't watch it until I got in later on in the evening. And I thought, because sometimes I have that. If I'm tired, my eyes get a bit watery and stuff, or they just feel tired and I can't focus sometimes. So I thought, that's okay, because I'm going to watch it a second time at least anyway for the review. But when I watched it the second time, last night, wasn't too late, it was out of focus. Was it?
Some of the scenes were out of focus, and I thought to myself, is this like a clever effect that they're doing here? Where
they weren't trying to do a sepia effect, were they?
Well, no, it wasn't the color. It wasn't the
color palette.
Yeah, like the color grading itself was fine. It was fine, but because they've a lot of TV series have done this before in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, I suppose. And I don't think they went to the extreme of using it full on. Anyone that knows what I'm talking about, it's something called chromatic aberration or aberration, one of the two, where they kind of, especially towards the edges of the screen, they create this kind of double vision blurred effect almost. And it wasn't as extreme as that. I don't think it was an intentional thing, but certainly for the first half of the story, some of it was out of focus and wasn't as sharp as all the other episodes and most of this episode later on. So I'm wondering if that was an intentional thing. Because at first I thought, am I tired? And then the second time I watched it, I thought, is this an intentional effect where because it's back in time, it's a historical one back in time, are they trying to kind of get across this thing that it's not quite as in focus as if we were in the future or current times because we're back. But then I thought, well, no, that's like breaking the fourth wall kind of thing going on. But there was definitely a problem. And I thought, right, is it my Sky thing? So I thought, no, I'm going to watch it on iPlayer. I didn't watch all of it. I fast forwarded to a few scenes where I really noticed it, and it's on there as well. So something's not quite right, and somebody might be able to answer this, but I don't know if it was an intentional effect, but definitely in the first half of the story, there's quite a few scenes where there's a blurring effect going on, and the scenes are not quite in focus.
Not crisp. I mean, I can't confirm it because obviously the first time I watched it, I was smashed.
It was clear to you.
Focus. Yeah. But the second time I watched it on the iPlayer, and I don't know, is the iPlayer HD? Because it didn't look very clear, but I assumed it's because I was watching it on the iPlayer. But then thinking about it, should it be playing in HD on the iPlayer? Or is it not? I don't know.
It should be in HD on iPlayer for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're right then, because I did think it looked a bit fuzzy, but that I assumed it's because I was watching it on the iPlayer and not through my TV.
No,
I didn't really
HD,
think
mate.
much about it at the time, but it's funny. I'm not just saying it because you've said it, but I did think it looked a bit fuzzy, but I just assumed it was because I was watching it on my iPlayer.
No, dude, I felt the same, and that annoyed me a lot at the time, because I thought if it's an intentional effect, then fine. That's like a design decision that's been made, and that's all great. If it's not, that's annoyed me, because the talent that they have working on the show and the quality, that there's no way that should have. It's either a problem at the source, so with the lenses and the cameras when they're filming it, or it's a problem in post-production. And I don't know which one it is, if it is a problem, but that should no way have gone through.
I have to wait till the Blu-ray comes out and have a look and see if it's pin sharp, or 4K even if they do it on 4K. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny you say that though. I do think that now you mention it.
Yes.
Somebody out there might know.
Yeah, hopefully let us know. Yeah.
Still a lot of exposition from Joe. Not a lot actually, but that was the other little nitpick I had. There was still a couple of scenes, and that is definitely down to the script. They're still making her explain things, aren't they? Which again, that needs to go. That needs to stop. We can see what's happening. We don't need her to tell us everything. And the way she does it, she always moves her arms around, has to explain it. That's still bugging the hell out of me, because that's a Series 11 thing that should have been ironed out by now, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all this exposition and waving of arms. There was still a little bit of that in this episode, which I'm afraid is going to bring the score down just a notch.
Yeah, there wasn't as much as last week.
Oh God, no! There wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot, but it was still there. And I thought, oh come on, we should be past this by now. It's one of those kinks I would like to see ironed out.
And my fear on that is it's becoming a staple of the show. And
that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's almost like, back in the day when you used to watch programs, that there was always something that you knew was coming every single time you watch it. It's a bit like the A-Team. Those of you that remember the A-Team series, you knew that every single episode they were going to be locked away somewhere, and they had to build something, and then you had the music kick in and they constructed something, and then that was how they sort of escaped whatever.
Yes.
You just knew that was a staple of the show.
You just knew that they would get locked in the shed that just happened to have all the bits that they needed.
Yes. Yeah. And then the music would kick in and the montage, and away you went. Yeah.
I was going to say, talking of building things, I did like to see Jodie, because I love it when the Doctor builds things, and she did a bit of tinkering around the TARDIS console, didn't she, this week, and built that machine, and I liked all that. Love it when the Doctor does that, when they build little gadgets, and she built that bracelet thingy, and loved all that stuff.
Yes.
And also the TARDIS took a different colour scheme again this week. I'm liking all that stuff, that they keep changing the colour of the TARDIS interior and things. So yes, I'm all for that. Different lighting. Just, that makes it much more interesting, because I'm still not a massive fan of that set. Right. But it's nice to see them sort of doing different things with it and having different levels and stuff. That's a good improvement, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Why wasn't the Doctor wearing period costume? Like everyone else was, but she was in a regular costume. I thought that was odd. And a bit of a missed opportunity as well, because I think they did that variation of her costume as the Bond, in the jacket. They could have done a cool variation of, of some, whatever century this is set. They could have done a a good sort of period costume variation for her, but everyone else was dressed in period costume.
Do you know what, dude? That's a really good point. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
And as you're saying it now, I'm thinking, well, that's okay because most doctors they stay in their costume, but they don't, do they? I mean, actually,
it's not really that it bugged me. It's more the fact that I thought it was a bit of a missed trick. So I thought, oh, how cool would it have been if they'd done a sort of period costume of her regular costume or something, you know? But it did. Yeah. It was a little bit odd.
Yeah, remember the Capaldi story where it was set in London a couple of centuries previous, and it was about the creatures under the Thames. The Thames had frozen over.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
he was in period dress in that story.
Yeah, and the 11th Doctor story where he's got the bowler hat and all that. What one's that? You know, the one with Mr. Sweet, the creature.
Yes, yeah, he was in.
He's got the bowler hat and all that. They're in period costume, aren't they? In that one.
I think it just depends on, because there's some other stories like the Eccleston story when he goes back in time and it's got the ghosts that are using the gas. The dead people come back.
Yeah, the unquite dead.
The unquite dead. He's not in period dress there.
No, it's not. Yeah, as I said,
weird,
it's not essential,
it?
And it didn't bug me. I just thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I thought, it's weird that, and also is there, yeah, like that. No one mentions it at all, do they? Like they're all just sat on the train in their costumes, and the Doctor's in a regular thing. I was waiting for Graham to make a quip about it, but know. Maybe it's a deleted scene.
And as they're walking around New York, nobody bats an eyelid at the Doctor and what she's wearing. It's kind of weird. It's almost like, she's not quite there. But I'll tell you what, though, the costume design was the companions looked really good in their costumes. Like I loved Graham's outfit, very, very dapper, looked very cool. Same as Ryan.
Really
actually
suited him.
When I first saw Ryan, I was like, I'm gonna have to get one of those caps. I think they look quite stylish, look pretty good. Yeah,
that's what I mean. The rest of the cast just look fantastic in their period costume. I think that's the thing. I just thought, what a shame the Doctor isn't. That would have been fun.
Looked really authentic as well. Like Yaz's costume was good, and the way they did her hair and stuff, it all looked really good. But the Doctor's just, I mean, there must be a. I'm sure that in 20 years' time, when the BFI are doing a special on this, and we've got Nina Mativia there and stuff, she'll be like, well, actually, the reason why the Doctor's not in, and they'll explain their thoughts behind it. But
is it her first script for Doctor Who?
I believe so.
Yeah, because I was going to say, for a first script, I thought that was a good first script. As I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice story. So it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's a first-time script from her.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the Skithra, because a new monster, a new villain to Who. A lot of people thought from the early trailer of Series 12 that this monster was or related to the Rachnos.
Well, I assumed they were. I mean, that's the thing with only having sort of watched this once properly, if you like. I did wonder if I'd missed something. Like, was there anything explaining that, or was it just that they looked similar?
I think they just look similar, dude. I think that's all there is to it. They
were very similar, yeah.
Really, like the face, at least.
Yeah.
So it turns out that, I mean, the concept for the Skithra is very cool. That is like arachnid, scorpion style aliens and stuff, which look really good. And
I love the design. Yeah. I mean, I just assumed they were somehow related to those, from the Rachnos, because they did look similar. And we got to see the Silurian blaster as well.
That was cool. Yeah.
Now, was that a bit of a mistake? Because the Doctor says, "What have you got this alien gun?" Well, Silurians aren't technically alien. It was a bit of a
bit of a fluff there, wasn't it?
Bit of a fluff there, I think. Yeah, only a small one, but a bit of a fluff. But nice to see that little thrown in, just as a little.
Yeah.
I think that might have been Chibbers, because obviously he brought back the Silurians, didn't he? Back in Series 5, was it?
Yeah. What do you?
Yeah. Did he say? Oh, by the way, just hovering over. What was the writer called? Nina.
Yeah.
Rob, over her shoulder, just plonk that gun in. But it was cool because it also led people to start theorising that the Silurians might be back this week. So it's good to throw that little curveball in there, I thought.
Yeah. Well, this is Doctor Who after all, so you could say that there's a number of reasons why she called it alien. Maybe for the benefit of the companions who don't know what Silurians are at this point. To them, this is probably alien, isn't it? So it's,
yeah,
but technically you're right, they're not. And then the ship itself is Venusian. It's nice to hear that word come back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like the effect as well of it being, invisible in the sky and stuff. I thought that was all good stuff. I really liked the monster this week, the monster of the week, if you like. What race are they? I keep getting it wrong because I want to say,
what's that?
The monsters? You were saying they look a bit Rachnos, but they weren't. What were they?
Scythra.
Yeah. I really liked them. I thought they were quite creepy, and the costumes look fantastic. I mean, you'd never know that was Anija Monhindra. I hope I'm saying that right. You'd never guess she was under all that, would you?
Angeli Mohin, yeah.
You'd never guess that was the Rani under that. What a great performance, I thought.
Yeah, not at all, mate. I
thought she was great.
Yeah, I knew she was going to be in this episode.
Mm.
And then it wasn't until she'd been in like more than a couple of scenes. I thought, well, we haven't seen Angeli yet. So, hold on. And I thought, it can't be her. That's not her. There's the Scythra. And then the next scene, it was her eyes that gave it away. I thought, that's her. But I didn't clock for the first, because I thought she was going to pop up in the story at some point.
Yeah.
But then I
thought she was great.
Yeah.
Really, really good. She really sort of threw herself into the part, didn't she? Really sort of really good, like coming up against Jodie. I thought they were great together, those two. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I think, like the character of the Rachnos, as an actor, if you're going to play that kind of monster and stuff, you just got to go for it. You've got to
go for it, yeah.
Make it as alien and as weird and grotesque as possible, really. Yeah, it was good. Funny little story as well, a little behind-the-scenes thing. Apparently Bradley Walsh didn't recognise her at all.
Oh, really?
Even because he said like the makeup was so full on and heavy, I wouldn't have known it was her. And even when she was talking to him, she had the makeup on, but she wasn't in character. He was still like, no. So she had to go in her bag or something and get her phone and stuff and say, look, these are all the photos of me. It's me. And he was like, bloody hell. So that's quite interesting at Bradley Walsh, because they worked together on Sarah Jane.
I was thinking that he was the clown, wasn't he?
The clown, yeah.
Mm.
But the makeup was really
good. It was very good. I thought the design was really good, and the scorpion thing looked good. I really did think they'd done a good job with that.
Yeah. I think it's a good throwaway monster, as in I don't think we'll see them again.
But no, I wouldn't be bothered if we didn't, but they worked very well in this story, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think to the historical part of it? Because one of the things that really boosted up Series 11 was the historical stories. They were well known, very reviewed very highly. This is another historical, very plays heavily on those factual characters. Tesla and Edison. What did you think from a historical point of view?
I thought I liked it because I'll be honest, I don't know an awful lot about either of those people, apart from the very basics, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think it's good, and it does, if it makes people look up the Tesla and Edison, I think it's important. So I didn't think it was too forced. I thought it worked really well, actually, and I thought, as I said, the two actors playing them were fantastic. As I said, I don't know a lot about either of the real Tesla and Edison. I know that some people said afterwards that they didn't sort of tell the true story or something, but I know that's always the case. I mean, there's only so much you can tell, as well as fitting it into the narrative of a sci-fi show. But was there controversy over something to do with Tesla that they didn't show him doing something? I don't know. There was something that someone picked up on saying, they didn't really do him justice or something. I don't know. I just saw people moaning about something on Twitter. But was it a good representation of them in terms of the story, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, I mean, my knowledge of the two of them is basic. I know of those two people and what they came up with, their inventions and what they tried to pioneer. I know that Tesla used to work for Edison when he was younger, but then he sort of branched off and wanted to do his own thing. So I know that there was definitely that they were definitely not best friends, put it that way, as they were trying to push their own respective inventions and stuff. That they honestly felt individually that what they were trying to do was going to help the world. That's never in question. But they were just, they just had different agendas, basically. Similar ideas, but
yeah, they were going down the same road, but just different way of going about it. I just heard there was some controversy over something, but I just don't know what it was about. But why did the Doctor keep twice call Tesla a big fat liar? I don't know if I missed something, because as I said, I only watched this once properly. And what was that about? Why did she say that to him twice at the beginning?
That's because she had asked him if he'd seen anything weird.
Oh,
and he said no, but even though he had seen like the floating orb.
I get you.
You know.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious now I think about it. Okay.
Yeah. Which was called something, the Thassaur orb, which was another race that the Doctor had recognised. Another one of those little, I know these guys. They're an ancient, race and whatever. So we still don't know too much about those guys, but so I think that was it. I think it was and also he came clean as well when they got to his lab. He had said that he had sent a message off to Mars or something, but he was unaware that they had replied, which ended up being a Skithra, and he didn't tell the Doctor that either. So I think because he thought it was just no consequence to it, because he didn't hear anything back, he assumed it was a wasted thing, wasn't worth mentioning. So yeah.
That's all it was. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I just couldn't. I thought it was alluding to something else. But yeah, no, that does make sense now I think about it.
But in terms of accuracy, it was all there. It was all good. Like the location at Niagara Falls, where he tried to do all that stuff, and his ideas about wireless technology and all that stuff. That was all there, and the relationship with Edison and Edison's workshop and factory and his DC current and everything. That was all, as far as I know, that was all pretty much there.
And looking at an actual photo of Ward and Clive Tower, is that how you say it?
The Tesla Tower.
Yeah, they did a very good recreation of that. I mean, that building they were running away from looks exactly the same as this photo. I mean, this is long gone, right? They didn't film. I assume that building that they used is just very similar, or maybe it was all CGI. I don't know. But when they were running away from it, it looks exactly the same as this, a photo of the actual building that I'm looking at now. So the recreation was very good. I assume it's all gone, this tower and that. I don't think it was there for them to film it. I don't know. But anyway, it all looked very good and authentic.
Yeah, so that was demolished long time ago.
I was going to say,
basically he got closed down at some point. So, that was demolished and is now, I think that's like nearly 100 years ago, or maybe.
It's got to be, isn't it? Yeah.
So that was all CG. It was pretty good representation. That was good.
Yeah, I just thought that scene of him running away, I thought it just looked like the actual real thing. I was like, that's well done.
Yeah. Yep. Rightio. Let's rattle through a few characters then. We've spoken about most of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What about Tesla's assistant then, Dorothy?
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, I'd forgotten about Dorothy.
Yeah, played by Hayley McGee. I haven't heard of her before, but she was quite good.
Yeah, she was. Sorry, I'll just pause because I thought I'd seen her in something else, but I don't know what. I thought she was good. And I don't know about you, but because of the way she played the part, I almost felt like, is she at some point going to turn out to be working for the main baddie? I don't know, because she sort of had this slight side to her that I felt like she could turn out to be a villain. I don't know why, but was that just me? Because she obviously didn't. There was no other side to her, but I thought she was good. Yeah, I did think she gave a nice performance. I was just waiting for her to switch and say like, yeah, I was working for him all along. And, because there's a couple of scenes where she just seemed disapproving of Tesla and Edison and stuff. I just felt there maybe was something else going on there, but yeah, didn't turn out to be. So, but yeah, she was good. She was good. Good performance.
She was good, actually, yeah. And she also had this there was a good few scenes because she ends up going off with Ryan. Is it Ryan or Yaz? She ends up going off with one of those for a good chunk of the story. And she kind of held her own a little bit as well. Yeah. So pretty strong performance, which was good.
Yeah, no, I thought she was decent. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had some of the people that worked for Edison that ended up being kind of projected by the Skithra, but as the the people they killed, and their monstery looking expressions and facial expressions were kind of good. Like the guys that were chasing the Doctor. They were basically people that the Skither had killed, but they were using their image, I suppose. Nothing amazing there, but not too bad.
No, but I was going to say they were all decent, because I think sometimes it's characters like that can stand out as being a bit, oh dear, he wasn't very good, or even if it's it's easy to get those sort of things wrong. But I just thought they all seemed to be giving a good performance. Mm-hmm. They all sort of fitted in and didn't stand out as being bad at all.
Yeah.
No.
And then we've spoken about Robert Glenister, Goran Visnich.
I thought both of them were very strong.
Really
both of them, I thought, really gave good performances.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Spoken about Mandip Tosin and Bradley Walsh.
Yeah.
Given our views on those in terms of the series and this episode. And Jodie, I think just to round off with Jodie, I think we can agree that she's being written for much improved from Series 11. Still, those little nuggets of exposition aren't quite needed. She is a bit sterner, a little bit firmer. I still think we've got more. I still think we've got better stories and performances for Jodie. I still think there's better ones out there.
Yeah, she's fit. She's settling down really nicely, I think. But definitely feel there's definitely more to give, more to come from her in terms of performance. But yeah, she was good, very good.
Yes.
Yeah, just stop giving her all that exposition. I feel sorry for her more than anything. I feel sorry for Jodie having to deliver that sort of clunky dialogue when she does get it. Thankfully, there was only a tiny bit in this story, but just every time she gets it, I feel she must get scripts to go, like you said, here's the bit where I have to explain it all. Oh, here we go. Right. It's hard to do that in a fresh way each time. So, yeah, but she was good. I liked Jodie in this one. I thought she was, she's rattling along very nicely as the Doctor at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. One last thing on my notes, buddy. Again, I didn't hear any strong themes in the music. It feels like Sagan Akinola, who had some really good stuff in Series 11, has kind of been told to rein it in a bit, it feels like. This is just, they may as well just got some stock music.
I felt the same. In fact, that's my last note on my pad as well, is the music. I think he's got a bit stale. There was nothing that stood out. There was this really horror type music when the sort of monster appeared that was used 3 times, I think. I don't know if you know the bit I mean. It was almost like it's just a load of violins screeching, like a real horrible, which is great the first time, but by the third time I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like, I don't know, I hate to say it because I do like his music, but it is starting to feel a little bit repetitive, especially that particular sound, that synth sound that he keeps using whenever there's a quiet scene. He just uses that. It's really going to be hard for me to explain, but hopefully listeners will know what I mean. Just the sort of same sound. It's just like, it's that sort of quiet music that he does every time there's a conversation. It's just that sort of it's just that building synth that he just uses, and it's the same sound. It's becoming really boring. It's like, get another keyboard.
I mean,
get another sound, do something.
It would have been part of the budget, obviously, to hire Sagan and for him to do that. And
I sound like I'm being a bit harsh on it because I do like his stuff, but you do. Hopefully, you know what I mean.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like would have budgeted quite a lot for him for his time to compose all the music and then to record it with musicians and orchestra, whatever. But if this is the result, that money would have been well spent on other things, and they just got some stock music in here, because it was cool. Because when we left Murray Gold behind, Murray Gold came up with some of the best TV music ever in Doctor Who, and I still listen to Doctor Who's music every day. I love some of that stuff, but we both agreed that it was time for a change.
Yeah, definitely.
And some of Sagan's work in Series 11 is really lovely. It's some really good stuff in there, but I feel like he needs to also stand his ground a little bit and kind of innovate with the music as well as all the story stuff they're doing as well. Because it just doesn't have any impact. The last 2 episodes, it's just felt very much like stock music.
Yeah, it's because it is the same themes, the same exactly. It does sound like the same synthesizer. I mean, that's the thing with Murray. He obviously had a whole orchestra, and he would utilize that. So you'd get like choral, bombastic brass band to piano, you'd get lots. Segan, absolutely, it's nice to have a different change. It's nice to bring it down to a much more sparse sound. I like it, but it is becoming, very much like you said. That particular piece of music that I'm on about, that particular synth sound that he uses, like you said, that could be from any episode, and it's becoming very repetitive now. I'd like to hear, even if you use the same theme or the same music, at least use a different sound or piano or something. Instead of that synth, which he keeps using. It's becoming very repetitive. I agree. The things that did stand out stood out for the wrong reasons. I was sat there thinking, oh, this music again could be stock music. Yeah, it could be from any of Series 11. Yep. So I agree with you about the music.
Yep, come on, Sagan. Tell him.
Up your game a little bit. Sorry.
Yep, tell him you want more stuff in there. You want more music, or you're out of it.
Yeah, probably been a bit harsh because there's nothing particularly wrong with it. Just if anything, it was just a bit boring.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not enough of it.
Yeah.
Right, scores, buddies. You to go first.
Yeah, I'm going for a 7.5 this week. I thought it was decent. Just I was between a 7. I was around about a 7 all the way through it. Really, it was just a decent, nothing amazing, but good. I enjoyed it though, but I've put a 0.5 on there because I thought maybe 7 was just a little bit low, but
right, I read you.
7.5.
7.5. Okay, I am going with a 7.
A 7. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. For the reasons I said initially, really, I think it's a good, enjoyable episode. There's just something missing overall, and I feel like that's a recurring theme. Because with the exception of a few little nuggets here and there, I'm really struggling to. I just know what's going to happen in a year's time, 2 years' time, when we're talking about Jodie's era and series 11 and 12. I'm really going to struggle to pick out like big kind of big events that have happened and big cool things that are happening throughout the episode. All we're going to say is, it was a bunch of good, enjoyable, middle of the road episodes. So, and the companions thing is starting to, either bring the arc into it, like we said earlier, bring a bit of Moff style arc into it and give us something to latch onto, or don't bother with it. Just have all these individual Monster of the Week stories. But if you're going to bring the arc into it, you're running out of time, basically. So I just don't want this episode to fall on its arse at the end. It's like, I don't want it to be at the end and we're like, all this stuff had such potential and it could have been amazing, but it's fallen flat. So yeah.
And we want episodes that we reach for. Like, you still don't own series 11 because it's just nothing you're bothered about rewatching.
No.
And we don't want another series of that because as much as I like Spyfall, I'm still not bothered about going back and rewatching it yet. You know what I mean? I've seen it. It was good. But I'm not reaching to, I really feel like I need to watch Spyfall again tonight. I'm not at that point. So yeah, we don't want a series of episodes that are just good episodes, but I'm not bothered about watching them again.
Yeah. And I thought this one was good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. So
yeah. And I would rewatch it.
Yeah.
At some point, but I'm not itching to rewatch it.
Cool. Right. What did our lovely listeners think? We had a bunch of audio clips in. Let's
good.
Kick off with Sammy from Down Under.
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. My dad is a mechanical engineer. He spent most of his life working with electricity and he loves Tesla. I suggested to him that he watch this episode. I'll be interested to see what he thinks of it. Speaking of my parents, we used to watch ER together and loved Dr. Luka Kovac as played by Goran Visnajic. Sorry if I butchered that slightly. The same actor who plays Nikola Tesla. It was great seeing him again. The Skithra was okay. Edison was good. I liked Miss Skerritt. I give it 8 alternating currents out of 10. See ya.
An 8.
Alternating currents. That's good. I wonder what her dad thought of it. Hope he enjoyed it.
Yeah, I imagine there were lots of people that are in the biz and thought, that's good, or no, that's not. I imagine it'll be good. Yeah. Okay, kicking off with an 8. Pretty cool. Right, let's move over. This is Lewis Palmer.
Hello to the Big Blue Box podcast. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I really, really loved it quite a bit, actually. It reminded me of something like the Shakespeare Code, which I have immense nostalgia for. Took me right back to being a kid, watching Doctor Who, learning more about these historical figures through the prism of a well-written and genuinely engaging sci-fi story. I thought all the characters were really likeable, really well-written. I thought all the performances were excellent, particularly Nikola Tesla. He was excellent. Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, so good when she went to rescue Yaz. She went aboard the ship to rescue Yaz. That was the character I've loved since I was 5. It was just so good. The music was excellent. I just loved it. It's one of my favourites of this era so far. My favourite of Series 12 so far. Yeah, I just really thought it was excellent. See you next time, guys.
Uh-huh.
Lewis loving it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of love from Lewis there. Fair play if you like that one, Lewis. All good. Moving on. Martin Arnold.
Nicholas Tesco's Night of Terror was good, but not great. The only thing that really let it down was the villain was not as exciting as I had hoped, given that you were dealing with, Mr. Tesla and Mr. Edison. So I thought they'd come up with something super special. And these are more historical characters that the show is sort of bigging up, which I think is cool. We like to learn in Doctor Who. That's what it's always been about. The pacing was fantastic. The pacing so far for all these episodes has been superb. I thought the side casts were great. The guy playing Tesla was fantastic. Donald Trump as Edison was good value as well. A bit of a ding-dong at the end. The fam were fun, and Jodie as the Doctor I think has absolutely hit her stride. Not too quirky, lots of warmth, really enjoyable. So I'm loving it so far. This is not the strongest episode, but that's the way it goes with these seasons. 7 out of 10. Cheers.
7.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Martin. Yeah, thank you very much for that, mate. This is a fairly recent reviewer, sent in a review last week. This is Craig Bryce.
Hi guys, hope you're well. So, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I like the title. Not too bad actually, a lot better than last week's, but I do have a couple of issues. The first one is the companions. I felt they didn't really have a lot to do in this story, apart from stand there and talk. This story really did show that it is overcrowded, and I think they could do with getting rid of a companion. I mean, there's theories going around that's going to be Yaz, which I think will help. I feel sorry for Yaz, really. If they'd have handled a character like Mickey Smith, like only appearing in an episode or two a series, it would have really helped her character, and especially next week with it being the Judoon, the police force. So I think that could have actually really worked, and being present day Earth. The villains, I do like them. The CGI was brilliant, but I felt the Scorpions didn't really suit this story. I felt when they was in their human form, I thought that was a lot more effective and suited it. Overall, not bad. 6.5 out of 10. If you really do like Nikola Tesla, by the way, and this story, I do recommend Series 3 of Jago and Lightfoot. Absolutely brilliant. Cheers, guys. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.
Nice one.
Lovely. The Jago and Lightfoot stuff was really good. I've got the first box set of that,
Yes, I was going to say I've got the first 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I really must pick that back up. Thanks for a reminder, Craig. Very cool. And lastly, this is that cheeky chappie who's been with us for a while now, Mr. Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary and Adam of the Big Blue Box Podcast. How are you guys doing? What episode of Doctor Who, The Terrifying Night of Nikola Tesla, or something along the lines of that, was? It's just cracking story, cracking historical. All the characters work for me, especially the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker's brilliant now. I'm really interested. All the companions have something to do, and I really appreciated that they were in appropriate clothing for the time period. And I think the people playing Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison were fantastic. It's the first time since Vincent van Gogh that I've actually felt that the people playing those historical characters were those historical characters for me. It's been that long that I've really been invested in the historical character. And let's talk about the villain quickly, the Skithra. The actual Scorpions look really good, the CGI. However, I was let down by the Skithra Queen's design. However, the person that played Ronnie in the Sarah Jane Adventures, I cannot pronounce her name, did a great job as the Skithra Queen, and that scene between the Doctor and the Skithra was brilliant. Overall, I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. Let the good times roll next week with Vinay Patel's Fugitive of the Judoon, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.
Cheers, Alex.
8 out of 10. Good stuff. Right, that was the audio clips. Thank you so much, guys, for sending that stuff in. Really appreciate you taking the time to record that. It sounds very cool. Thank you as always. We had a few over on Twitter. Amazing Librarian says, that was much better than last week. A proper story with a beginning and an end. Good character, scary monsters, and tears at the finish.
Tears.
Our writer, Jordan Shortman, I really enjoyed it. Goran Visnijic, oh, crikey. It was fantastic as Tesla, and it was great to see him acting again after playing Flynn in Timeless, another time travel show. The aliens were brilliant, and I had to keep reminding myself that it was Rani under all the makeup. Another great episode. Rick Moran from the Doctor Appreciation Society gave it an 8 out of 10, a solid, good romp. My main problem was that Ada and Nor had to have their memories wiped, but two of the most famous inventors in history didn't.
Yeah, I did think that.
An annoying inconsistency. But he really loved the Oi AC/DC bit from Graham, which is cool. Jessica, awesome Jess. I loved it, especially Graham. He had some great lines, and Yaz, she was fantastic. He'd given a lot to do. Goran as Tesla was wonderful. His reaction to the TARDIS was hilarious. Actually, dude, that reminds me, his take on the bigger on the inside was really cool.
Oh yes, it was. That was a good moment. Yeah.
Yes. How did he word it? I can't remember, but it was a more scientific way, like the internal dimensions transcend the exterior, or something like that.
That's right.
It was very, very cool. I forgot to mention that. Very cool. Sorry, Jessica. You go on to say that his reaction was hilarious. A lot of action kept me on my toes. 9 Tesla coils out of 10. Michael Herbert, a sound historical that hopefully will give people a greater appreciation of Tesla's work in the way that I learnt something about Marco Polo and the Aztecs when I watched the serials back in '64. Nathan, Silent Nerd, C137, I loved it. What a start to the story with the train sequence. Goran gave an incredible performance as Tesla. Jodie was incredible and loved her in her scenes with Tesla. 9 out of 10.
Cool.
Mark Renshaw, I enjoyed it. My only gripe is the show is more like Timeless these days than Doctor Who. And the main Whovian aspect of the season, the Timeless child / Gallifrey, has been conveniently forgotten.
Actually, we are very Earth-based at the minute.
We are. So there's another person that's mentioned Timeless. Yeah. Okay. Zombie Who 97 says, believe it or not, I thought this was a step down from Orphan 55. I thought that was good. And this was just boring. The directing was pretty poor, with weird close-ups and badly shot action scenes at the beginning. The Queen was a very poor villain and almost laughable. I've been very positive of this series so far, and I've given every episode an 8 before. But Nikola Tesla, I sadly feel, is a 5 out of 10.
Oh
dear. Edward Giluli, an enjoyable historical with a good performance and decent villains, 8 out of 10. Davros, loved it, guys. Not perfect, still too much exposition, but a full story, the build-up and paid off. Great characters, which you cared about, and good acting and wonderful costumes, an 8 out of 10. DW Sebling, fine episode, in my opinion. Not the worst, not the best, middle of the road, 7 out of 10. Spencer.
Happy birthday, sorry, just remember, happy birthday, DW Sebling.
Oh, that's true.
Pretty sure it's his birthday as this podcast goes out, yeah.
It's his birthday either today we're recording or Friday. It's probably Friday, mate. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday, mate. Spencer Shively says, thought this one was great. Loved the actor who played Tesla and how the aliens were sort of like a galactic version of Edison, stealing all of the tech for their own purposes. Queen was sort of meh, but not the worst villain we've seen. At least the CG was good. 8 Tesla cores out of 10. Who else do we have here? Blair Donnelly. I enjoy historical episodes. Always good when you learn something. It was well paced. Enjoyed Jodie's performance. Graham Ryan worked well. Goes on to give it an 8. Joshua Vander Slews. It was a good historical, but we just didn't get any standout moments from the gang or anything extra from Tesla or Edison. The Alien of the Week was just bland at best. It was disappointing after a year of waiting. Only good thing was the soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Somebody else mentioned the music as well, didn't they? Are we missing something, dude?
Are we missing? Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. Time Lord 0902 says something when the supporting cast were way better than the main cast. Interesting opening. Then the miscast cosplayer shows up. Oh no!
Oh no!
Gave it a 2.
A 2?
2 out of 10.
Dear.
Oh dear. And I think we just had a couple more. Who else did we have? Gallifrey. Forever 97. Reese.
Oh, Reese.
Had a lot of fun with this episode. The acting was off the chain for Goran and Anjali Mohindra, bringing to life devolved characters and villains. Great balance between action and quiet moments. Genuinely didn't have any issues with this one. Favourite episode thus far. Joe Bowers. I thought that was the same person then, because it looks to me like Reese and Joe have got the same picture in their Twitter profile, just reversed.
Oh, is it?
Anyway, Joe Bowers00 says, really enjoyed this one. All of the guest characters were amazing, but Goran and Anjali were the highlights. The Skithra were terrifying and looked creepy, and I felt that this was Jodie's best performance. Gives it a 9.
9.
Who else? Plainly, absolutely brilliant. The episode is easily my favourite from series 12. Jodie's acting with the Skithra Queen when she asks if she destroyed the planet is phenomenal. Goran is always fantastic, and the TARDIS fam were great. P.S. Eek, the Silurian gun. And then lastly, we had Sarah Louise, a running Whovian.
Always running.
Always running. She says, I enjoyed this one. I prefer Doctor Who episodes that reference history, and this was executed well at 8 out of 10.
Ah, nice.
And we had a few on Facebook. Aaron Lamb, interesting premise, repurposing alien technology. Tesla was stellar, some great interplay among the cast, gives it an 8. Daniel Hickey, episode looked great. The fam and extended cast, all great. Villains were fantastic, but something still missing for me. Bad guys got away again. Mind wipes in Spyfall, but not here. Have a feeling not all series, season 11 and 12 characters are coming back at the end of this. Middle of the road, 6.5. David Mackin, after struggling terribly with last week's episode, I found this a breath of fresh air. Fantastic supporting cast, a great cinematography and a strong story. 8 out of 10. Jamie Ackley, I love seeing how much positivity the episode is getting on Twitter. For me, not as strong as Orphan 55. The sheer delight and relish Anjali Mohindra had with the Scorpion Queen was wonderful. 6.5. Charlie Turner, best episode of the series so far. I just really wish that the Sonic wouldn't have saved the day. That's one of my least favourite aspects. A 9. Andrew Boland, I liked Orphan 55 more. It seems to have all of the elements of a good tale, but just didn't come together. Middle was very slow, and Graham has become the comic relief. Jodie was very good in many aspects, as were the guest cast. Scorpions look great. Was it a bit dull, just like the colour filter they used on the current series? Is it even in HD? Didn't look like it. I'm glad someone else has mentioned that, because I really think I'm losing my mind with it.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah, Jason Gray, I guess the Doctor is going just to start killing baddies now. ?
Did she kill them?
I don't think she killed any of them, did she? She just
sent them back.
She sent them back, yeah.
Actually, that's the point. Hang on, she sent the main one back. What happened to the other ones? I need to watch it again. They were kind of just at the door, weren't they?
Yeah. Chloe Anderson, a vast improvement from last week, although I did find it took a while to get going. Loved the Lazarus/Rachnos hybrid aliens, but Rani has definitely let herself go. 8 out of 10. Vincent Price, the episode reminded me of the Rachnos from Tennant. I wonder if they're related.
Must be.
Possibly. And lastly, Jeff Waddle, a belter of a pseudo-historical. Nothing hugely original, but the acting of the leads rates this one up to a 9 out of 10. And if it encourages people to go and look up Tesla and company, then even better.
Yes.
Mainly strong figures for this one, dude. I think the overall average score is about an 8.
Yeah.
By the sound of it, about
good,
an 8
isn't
out of 10.
it? Yeah.
Which is good. Next week, what we got?
Next week, so the Judoon are back. Feels like it's been coming a long time, isn't it, since we saw those promo pics. Fugitive of the Judoon next week.
Full low show. Is what you were trying to say, I think.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
So yeah, next week, a Judoon story. So some familiarity in Doctor Who. We'll see how that pans out. For now, though, I think we'll wrap there, dude, for 252.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for sticking with us here at the Big Blue Box podcast. I hope you enjoyed episode 252. Not getting the character toys, mate. I'm just not.
No, you're not.
I'm just not getting them. The license needs to go over to someone else. For sure.
I'm going to get you a Graham one. For your birthday.
Yes, and
home.
Yeah, and I'm gonna check out the Dark Universe Big Finish story. That looks really cool.
Yes, yeah, do, yeah.
Thank you all for your thoughts and reviews on this week's review episode, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Our scores are a 7.5. Ultimately very well received, so that's good. Don't pay attention to the ratings and all that jazz stuff too much. We're not in axed territory just yet.
No.
Next week, Fugitive of the Judoon looks very interesting, so we can't wait to check that out and give you your thoughts. We'll be asking for your thoughts and reviews next week, so on Monday look out on the socials for that, because we love hearing your thoughts and reviews on that. In the meantime, head over to the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our episodes on there, plus you can check out all of the cool articles that our writing team put out, loads of reviews on Big Finish and other bits and bobs, so go and check that out. There's also links to go off to the various podcast networks, so make sure you drop a subscription on whatever app you listen to podcasts on, so that you don't miss our show when it lands every single Friday. And if you have a minute for a rating or a review, that would be amazing, because that helps us out so much. We're on the socials as well, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box podcast. You'll find us on there. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, so join in the chit chat around there. And my co-host, make sure you check out his YouTube channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah, The Geek's Handbag.
Make sure you give Adam a sub over there. Plenty of videos to keep you busy. Just grab a cuppa and go and have a browse around his YouTube channel. Loads and loads of very, very cool videos over there. And Adam is also on the socials under the same name.
I love the socials.
Under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. So just give him
love to chat.
He does love to chat, especially when he's drunk.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yes, when he's not yelling at the television, of course.
Yeah.
A bit of piano and a bit of geekery over there. We will see you next week. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
Hey, remember. Hey.